Chapter 750. Cyclops raised his sword and faced the attack. Chen Zhao had already swooped down. Everything happened too quickly. The golden sword in Cyclops' hand was cut in half. The blade streaked forward like lightning. Cyclops' golden armor was also cut in half. The one-eyed man's shoulder was also chopped off. Holding the golden sword, Chen Zhao pressed Cyclops under his body with the blade. Reality proves that weapons and armor made from gold are useless. A nouveau riche will always be a nouveau riche. For a moment, Cyclops' eyes became clear. He looked at Chen Zhao miserably. I'm not. Gaia, you're not Gaia. Chen Zhao looked up at Gaia and Gurette. He said he's not Gaia. Cyclops' blood flowed on the magic formation. An aura started emanating from the formation. It was like a heartbeat. Rise, fall, the golden warhorse neighed. It seemed to feel fear too. Gradually, 3 huge heads drilled out of the ground. Chen Zhao, Gaia, and Gurette finally had a thought. This was more in line with the setting of a sealed demon. The demon had 3 brown dragon heads and a snake-like neck. Its lower body was still in the magic formation. Gaia, get ready to run, Chen Zhao called without thinking. Wait. Chen Zhao stopped Gaia, who was about to pull Gurette up. Take this golden warhorse too. It's our travel fee. The warhorse looked at Chen Zhao and Gaia. The two also looked at the horse. The warhorse suddenly spread its wings and soared into the sky. Fuck. You coward. You're running away. But just then, a dragon head spat out a mouthful of flames at the warhorse in the sky. Boom. The warhorse fell to the ground and was smashed. See? If you didn't run, we could still be good friends. Just then, the 3-headed dragon's lower body slowly appeared from the magic formation. The lower half of the 3-headed dragon was a long snake that was 40 meters long. Chen, what do we do now? Chen Zhao took a step forward and said to the 3-headed dragon, Gaia, let's talk about something. Why don't you go your own way and I'll go my own way? We won't have anything to do with each other. The 3-headed dragon opened its mouth, and the middle head said, Human, it's been a long time since I've eaten a living person. You 3, give me 1 head each. Chen Zhao turned around helplessly. Negotiation failed. Prepare for war. How do we fight this thing? Gaia asked. I don't know. If we can beat them, we'll fight. If we can't, we'll run. Chen Zhao took 2 steps forward and looked at the 3-headed dragon. Can we have some foreplay or something? I'm not used to being so direct. For example, you want to play a game of cat and mouse and give us 3 minutes to escape. That's right. The 3-headed dragon didn't care about anything else. It just gave Chen Zhao a mouthful of poisonous dragon breath. Huge flames rushed toward Gaia. Realizing that something was wrong, Gaia immediately lunged at Chen Zhao. Bang! The dragon's breath exploded on Gaia's body. The scorching flames almost scorched half of Gaia's body. Gaia, what are you doing? You're relatives, right? Why don't you have any resistance? Half of Gaia's body was scorched, but he was tough. Miscalculation. I thought I'd be fine too. Turns out, this thing's flames are much stronger than mine. I can tell from your body size that there's a huge difference between you two. Don't be like this, okay? The battle had just started, but he'd already lost a fighter. Chen Zhao was very upset. I'll cheer for you from the side. Gaia was still in the mood to joke. Chen Zhao could only bite the bullet and look at the thick-necked Gaia. At the same time, he said to Gaia, Gaia, can you close your eyes for 10 seconds? What for? I'm going to use a big move. This is my secret. I can't let outsiders see. Fine. Chen Zhao looked back. Seeing that Gaia had closed his eyes, he immediately activated his clone. Pfft! Chen Zhao looked back and saw Gaia, who was leaning against the rock behind him, panting with laughter. Looking at his two naked clones, he was instantly enraged. Didn't you say you'd close your eyes? Chen Zhao took out two sets of clothes similar to his and had his two clones put them on. Charge! Gaia's tail swept over, sending Chen Zhao and his two clones flying. The next moment, Chen Zhao leaped high into the air with the bronze sword in his hand. The dragon head on the left bit Chen Zhao's body. Ah, Chen! Gaia yelled nervously. The next moment, the dragon head also cried out. Feeling the burning pain in his mouth, he could only let go of Chen Zhao. Angelic Crystal. Chen Zhao had a big killing weapon, Angelic Crystal. Chen Zhao fell to the ground. He was covered in wounds too. But this was only one of his clones. The other two Chen Zhaos walked over. If you're going to die, do it quickly, Chen Zhao's real body complained. You're making us both uncomfortable. The clones shared their feelings with the real body, and the real body's feelings would also be shared with the clones. Why don't you give me a quick death? The clone asked. No. It feels weird to kill myself. Why don't you do it? Chen Zhao looked at the other clone. Both clones were clearly controlled by him, but when he was controlling them, they seemed to have their own emotions. He was talking to himself, but it seemed like he was talking to another person. Why don't you do it yourself? I'm the real body. If the real body does everything, why would I need you guys? Here, drink this. Chen Zhao squatted down and poured medicine into the clone's mouth. What's this? Chen Zhao grinned. The clone immediately sensed that something was wrong. Can I greet your ancestor? My ancestor isn't your ancestor, Chen Zhao said. Don't mind so much. Someone has to be sacrificed. I can't drink anymore, the heavily injured clone said in pain. That's enough, the other clone said. I feel terrible seeing him like that too. It's really weird talking to myself, Chen Zhao said. Okay, let's begin, Chen Zhao's real body said. The three-headed dragon, Gaia, was furious. The angelic crystal had brought him great pain. I'll kill you. Chen Zhao looked at Gaia, his eyes also glowing fiercely. Come if you can. Gaia's three dragon heads charged toward Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao suddenly grabbed the heavily injured clone and smashed it at one of the dragon heads. This time, Gaia wouldn't be stupid enough to bite the clone in case he got ambushed again. As for this doppelganger, it was completely fine after smashing into Gaia's dragon head. It was like a pebble had hit his head. Chapter 751. The clone clawed at Gaia's mouth. Open your mouth, open your mouth. Eat me. Gaia didn't open his mouth. Instead, he charged toward Chen Zhao's real body and the clone. Chen Zhao's real body and clone also charged toward the other two dragon heads. The clone held the bronze sword, while a torpedo suddenly appeared in Chen Zhao's real body's hand. The torpedo was 2 meters long and weighed 600 kilograms. However, this torpedo could overturn a destroyer. Before Chen Zhao came to the island, he dived with Cyclops and the others to get the torpedo from the submarine. Chen Zhao had done it just in case. He just didn't think he'd actually use it. Transfer. Chen Zhao's real body and clone suddenly switched places. He let the clone take the torpedo and die with Gaia. Rumble, a huge explosion swept in all directions with shock waves. Chen Zhao was also blown away. Gaia's left dragon head was blasted into pieces. Blood rained down from the sky. This explosion was a heavy blow to Gaia as well. The pain made him struggle and roar. The clone, who'd been grabbing Gaia's middle dragon head, walked right into the trap and stuffed himself into Gaia's mouth. The clone's body was already filled with angelic crystals. Right now, he was like a soldering iron stuck in Gaia's throat. He couldn't go in or out. Chen Zhao didn't waste time. He'd kill him while he was down. Even though he was dizzy from the fall, he still grabbed the bronze sword and charged at Gaia. He stabbed at Gaia's rightmost dragon head. The bronze sword was covered with the dark serum, turning into a large black sword. It pierced through the left side of the dragon head, turning Gaia's only intact dragon head into a mutton skewer. Gaia's tail swayed wildly, but it couldn't hit Chen Zhao. Finally, after struggling for a few minutes, Gaia finally calmed down. Just then, Chen Zhao saw Gaia lying not far away. She was drinking blood from Gaia's wound on the ground. Gaia. You can't be possessed, right? Do you need me to send you on your last journey? Fuck. He's a dragon. I can feel his blood resonating with the blood in my body. Guret's face was filled with shock. He had watched the entire battle between Chen Zhao and Gaia. She and Gaia were just bystanders, but Chen Zhao killed the mutated Cyclops and the final boss, Guile, all by himself. He had done it all by himself. The dragon blood in front of Gaia gathered into a pool of blood, and Gaia directly lay down in the pool. Chen Zhao walked up to Gaia. The burnt skin on Gaia's body seemed to be falling off by itself. Chen Zhao was exhausted too. He sat down beside Gaia. Gaia, how are you now? Gaia looked at Chen Zhao, and then at Gaia. You actually killed this kind of monster. I was lucky this time. I might not be so lucky the next time I encounter such a monster. After resting for a while, Gaia's injuries gradually improved, but his body was still very weak. Chen Zhao bandaged Guret's wound. Because it was getting dark, they were too lazy to go out, so they decided to rest here for the night. Chen Zhao took out some food, but he secretly took some of Gaia's meat. He wasn't sure if Gaia's meat could be eaten. No matter how much dragon blood Gaia had, he was still a dragon. For example, wyvern meat only contained a bit of dragon blood. Normal people couldn't eat it anymore. Not to mention a demon that was clearly of a higher level than wyverns. Chen Zhao picked up the Sun King gold chalice and put it away. As for the rest of the gold, Chen Zhao gave Guret 20% as per their agreement. Guret heaved a sigh of relief. If Chen Zhao went back on his words, she probably couldn't do anything. Moreover, even if he became the public enemy of all pirates, he might not be afraid. At least, there wasn't anyone among the pirates who could kill Gaia. What a pity. That golden warhorse fell to the ground. If it's alive, it'll definitely be worth more than dead. This is clearly a supernatural creature. You dare to sell it? Fine, it's just a random thought. Chen Zhao shrugged. The government wouldn't let them sell supernatural creatures. After all, the government had always suppressed supernatural incidents. The three slept at the edge of the crack that night. Nothing happened on the way back to the boat. Where do you want us to take you? Chen Zhao asked Guret. Hawaii, Guret said. Hawaii was the largest island in the Hawaiian archipelago. It was twice the size of the other islands combined. The difference between Zitaroa and Hawaii was like sesame and watermelon. Zitaroa was very close to Hawaii, less than 200 nautical miles away. In less than 2 hours, the boat reached Hawaii. When Guret got off the boat, someone had already come to pick her up. Guret looked at Gaia. Gaia, you saved me, but don't think that our grudge is over. You can find me for revenge anytime, Gaia said nonchalantly. Chen Zhao looked at Guret's back. Another tsundere. Anyway, this had nothing to do with him. Gaia didn't want to kill Guret, so he didn't have to do it. I'll take 60% and you take 40%, Chen Zhao said. I didn't contribute that much. Gaia shook her head. Take it, Chen Zhao said. Don't you want to buy a boat like mine? With this, you can definitely afford it. Gaia smiled bitterly and didn't refuse. I'm afraid that even if I can afford it, I won't be able to keep it. Chen Zhao had underlings, but she didn't. The boat was on the water and needed regular care. For example, waxing the boat and getting rid of bugs and other attachments. She also needed to keep a HNA team. Gaia couldn't afford it. Chen Zhao and Gaia had roughly calculated the total amount of gold this time. The total weight was close to 2 tons, and Guret got 20%. She took around 400 kilograms of gold. About 1,600 kilograms was left. Gaia, do you know the buyer who handled the gold? You can't do this. It's too shady. You have to take at least 30%. Gaia shook her head. Hearing this, Chen Zhao's teeth hurt. Gaia and Chen Zhao weren't a couple, but they were close friends. In front of profits, Chen Zhao didn't want to take it all for himself. Even though Chen Zhao had done the most, Gaia still got such a large share. So, Gaia told Chen Zhao the truth. She had her ways, but what about those underground money houses or money launderers? Why would they help you convert gold into cash? It was because they had a high commission. According to the current international gold price, a ton of gold was around $50 million. Their gold would be around $80 million. But if they used illegal channels, they had to deduct the commission from the middleman. So, it would be good if they could get 70 million in the end. Chapter 752. On the way back, Chen Zhao and Gaia studied the Sun King Golden Chalice. Gaia took it from Chen Zhao. Is this the Sun King Golden Chalice? It said that if you pour wine into the chalice and drink it, you'll obtain a witch's powerful magic, Chen Zhao said. But the price is that your soul will be devoured by the chalice after death. Gaia had come into contact with the supernatural world. She knew that losing control of one's soul after death would be very scary. The Sun King Golden Chalice was very beautiful. It didn't look like metal that had been corroded in the air for hundreds of years. Forget it. Gaia shook her head. I've already achieved my goal by going out to sea with you. It wasn't that they'd found the treasure, but that Gaia had become stronger. She'd received the baptism of the three-headed dragon's blood. She could clearly feel that she was indeed stronger than before. Feilai, I'm back. On the sea, Chen Zhao couldn't wait to call Feilai to inform her. So fast. It's only the 3rd day. I found the treasure, of course I'm back. How was it? Did it go well with you and Gaia? It was very smooth. Other than encountering a few carnivores that don't have eyes, there was no other danger. Gaia glanced at Chen Zhao. She knew that he didn't want Feilai to know about the danger they'd encountered. Gaia set off from Chen Zhao's house and also disembarked from here. They weren't in a hurry to sell the gold. Gaia told Chen Zhao to contact people first. In the evening, Feilai returned with her family. Seeing Chen Zhao, Feilai couldn't wait to pounce on him. Chen Zhao only went to shower when Feilai couldn't move anymore. After that, he summoned Samuel and the other demons to the front yard. Look, what's this? Chen Zhao took out Gaia's body. Abydos went forward to tear Gaia's body apart. Abydos and Gaia were both very interested in Gaia's body. Clearly, it was because of their dragon bloodline. This is the aura of an alternative dragon. Its bloodline is very close to dragons. Judging from the aura, it should have existed in the human world for thousands of years. Samuel was the first to conclude. How can you tell? Chen Zhao didn't understand. For him to be able to reach this level of strength, he must have spent a long time. The restraints of the rules on him have gradually weakened, and his own strength has gradually increased. Just like Black Ma and White Ma. After 1,000 years, Black Ma and White Ma might become as strong as this WIRM. Samuel nodded. Can they live that long? Not now, but if they can continue to grow, they might be able to grow to the same level as this flood dragon. Is this corpse useful to them? It's most effective for Abidos. Beelzebub, Raymond, Carrie, and Amon are all projections. They're not very useful. I don't need to talk about me. Even if you feed me pure-blooded dragons, it'll be meaningless. Can ordinary people eat it? No, Samuel said. Right now, Abidos was eating happily. Chen Zhao did not stop him. What about me? It's useful for you, but not much, Samuel said. Your body is close to a bottleneck. Chen Zhao thought about it. That was indeed the case. After going to hell, he'd performed the devil's birthday sacrifice and opened the Eye of Power. He'd improved greatly. But then, there was almost no improvement for a long time. If Chen Zhao opened the Eye of Power now, his maximum strength would be around 20 tons. For ordinary people, this kind of strength was already superhuman strength. But Chen Zhao still felt that it wasn't enough. How can I break through the bottleneck? I want a shortcut. Don't tell me that I have to constantly put huge pressure on myself. Don't tell me that I have to use near-death methods to break through. Don't let those stupid jokes appear in my life. Samuel suddenly stopped Chen Zhao. Samuel looked at Chen Zhao. Once again, he took over Chen Zhao's control of the dark serum. The dark serum wrapped around Samuel's body, and he began to transform into his original form, a lion with wings. I can't help you with physical strengthening, but you've never truly understood the power you possess. Chen Zhao looked at Samuel, who was wrapped in the dark serum. He'd used the dark serum to wrap the bronze sword before. The bronze sword was indeed much more powerful after being wrapped in the dark serum. But Chen Zhao had never used the dark serum to truly arm himself. Master, in hell, there's a type of demon called the mountain demon, Beelzebub said. They're born with the ability to strengthen their bodies like crazy. They know almost all ways to strengthen their bodies. Are they very powerful? Some are strong and some are weak. They're the subordinates of the King of Power. Is the King of Power on the same level as Samuel? No, it's a secondary demon king, Carrie said. The same level as the Ice Queen. Are mountain demons rare in hell? Yes, and they're usually hired by demon lords. Why? Because they know almost all ways to strengthen their bodies. They can even judge a lord who's much more powerful than them, so they're very popular. Chen Zhao's interest was piqued. Subordinates of the King of Power. I want great power. An extreme desire appeared in Chen Zhao's mind. All the demons around Chen Zhao felt a strange aura around them. Suddenly, a magic array appeared in front of Chen Zhao, above the lake. Summoning ritual. All the demons' gazes froze. They knew that Chen Zhao could summon demon servants. All of them had been summoned by Chen Zhao. Although the process was different, the result was the same. This was Chen Zhao's first act of summoning. This was also Chen Zhao's attempt. Chen Zhao wanted to know if his desire was the key to summoning demon servants. Splash, a figure fell out of the magic array and into the lake. Ah! Help! Help! Help, what happened? How come he can't swim? Chen Zhao was surprised. Not all of his demon servants were good at swimming, but they could at least swim. Chen Zhao had thought that demons were like dogs that could swim. Chapter 753. Soon, the demon on the water surface stopped moving. Without Chen Zhao's order, they couldn't be bothered to save their friend from hell. None of them were good people, and they loved each other dearly. Under Chen Zhao's eyes, they behaved like obedient children. But once they left Chen Zhao's sight, they would cause as much trouble as they could. There were all sorts of schemes and deceptions. It was like a palace fight. When the new demon was completely defeated, Chen Zhao had the other demon servants fish him up. Of course, the demon wouldn't die so easily. His appearance was that of a mountain gorilla, and his body was twice the size of a normal mountain gorilla. Every time Chen Zhao summoned a demon, they were all arrogant and had bad personalities. This time, Chen Zhao planned to give the new demon a show of strength. He didn't want the new demon to yell at him for no reason. After an unknown period of time, the demon slowly woke up. But when he looked up, he saw a demon with a terrifying aura standing on a shelf not far away. Although the demon's appearance was short and even insignificant, he did not dare to move. Then, the group of demons around him punched and kicked him, tearing and biting him. This round of beating directly stunned the newcomer demon. "Stop fighting. You guys stop fighting." The new demon was covered in wounds. Just then, Chen Zhao walked over. "Do you know where this is?" The new demon looked up at Chen Zhao, looking left and right. "This is the human world." "Then do you know who I am?" "You are." Chen Zhao threw Geyer's head before the new demon. "This guy was a demon I summoned before. He was very disobedient, so I killed him. You're the second demon servant I summoned." The new demon trembled in fear. Geyer's aura was even stronger than his. He felt like he was going to pee his pants. "They're all my demon servants. Tell me first, are you a clone or your real body?" "My real body." Chen Zhao was surprised. It was the real body. Also, the demons he summoned this time seemed to be stronger than the previous ones. Name, age, affiliation, power, hobbies. "Ha! Slap, I'm asking you questions. Answer honestly. If you hide anything, I'll send you to God." "Oh. First of all, I'm your master now. Do you have any questions about that?" "No." The group of ferocious fiends around him couldn't wait to beat him up again. Those who had questions were now left with a head that was even bigger than him, which was thrown to the side. There must be no doubt. Although his brain was not very good, his instincts were still quite clear. "What's it called?" "Mario Mauser." Chen Zhao wondered if he should give him a more proper name. "Forget it, let him call me that." Age, 150 years old, subordinate, king of power. Just like the silly twins, Amon, Beelzebub, Carrie, and Raymond. They were both low-level demons, but the difference was that he had come in his true form. Of course, there were also strong and weak demons among the low-level demons. Amon's main body was stronger than the other projections, but weaker than them. He was only stronger than the silly twins. As for Samuel, although he was the weakest, his aura was the most terrifying. None of them dared to offend Samuel. Even Abidos, who was the most simple-minded, did not dare to offend him. To put it bluntly, Mario was a big idiot with all brawn and no brain. "Can you see my physical strength?" Chen Zhao asked. "Yes," Mario answered directly. "Then how's my strength compared to yours?" "Very close," Mario answered. "Be more specific. Am I stronger or are you stronger?" "Me," Mario answered carefully, not forgetting to sneak a glance at Chen Zhao. "How much stronger?" "Close to 10%, Mario answered. "Then do you have a way to increase my strength?" Chen Zhao asked. Yes. Mario's gaze seemed to see through Chen Zhao completely. Even Samuel had never seen such a look in his eyes. Sure enough, as expected of the mountain demon, his brain didn't even have to bend to give an affirmative answer. What do I need to do? Master, when you increase your strength, can you give me a portion too? Mario looked at Chen Zhao fawningly. Chen Zhao rubbed his chin. Tell me the method first. There are at least 100 ways to increase your strength. Chen Zhao almost spat. That many? Yes, different methods will have different effects, and different effects will have different effects on the future. Give me an example, Chen Zhao said. The simplest method is for me to stimulate your potential directly. You can increase your strength by at least 3 times, but you won't have the chance to increase your strength in the future. Chen Zhao thought about it. This meant that this was a one-time method and there was no way out. So I'm using the same method as you. Our bodies are similar and our strength levels are the same, so I can use the method you used. However, our potential values are different, so after this, our growth methods will be different too. Okay, tell me first. What do you need to do? You need the power of lightning. I'll use a magic array to guide the lightning to your body. Is it dangerous? No. The success rate is 80%. Yes, 80% is very high. Chen Zhao nodded. If it fails, remember to cut him into pieces. Mario shuddered. He'd almost forgotten that his human master was cruel by nature. He started regretting it again. It seemed like he'd come up with a bad idea. What materials do you need? I need 10 demon horns, preferably large ones. The bigger, the better, Mario said. Also, the blood of a black goat, a tuft of a human woman's hair. Some of the materials Mario mentioned could only be found in hell, while others could be found in the human world. There was nothing he couldn't get. Chen Zhao had all the materials that could be found in hell. When he'd received Logan Samuel's assets, many of them were demon horns. However, Mario said that he needed to see the large demon horns. Chen Zhao didn't recognize the horns, so he needed Beelzebub and the others to help him identify them. It wasn't that the larger the demon's horns, the larger the demon's body. Some demons were small in size, but their horns were huge. Chapter 754. Can this magic array only be used once? Mario lowered his head. Somewhat flustered, he said, twice. Exactly twice. Chen Zhao tapped the stone table with his finger. Mario felt his heart skip a beat. Master. I was wrong. As long as I have 5 demon horns, I can use it once. In fact, I want double the materials I asked for just now. Chen Zhao finally understood that Mario wasn't just afraid of water. He was also a coward. He was also the type that wanted to do something but didn't have the guts. Chen Zhao had only questioned him once and he'd chickened out immediately. His mentality wasn't good enough. Chen Zhao had to find a chance to teach him a lesson. The next morning, Fei Lai realized that there was a mountain gorilla in front of her house. Chen, what's with that gorilla? Why is it hanging upside down on the lake? Mario was hung on a simple pole. If the other end used a bit more strength and lifted at night, Mario would have to go down to drink from the lake. It wasn't that Mario couldn't break free. He just didn't dare to. Chen Zhao had said that if he dared to break free, he'd be fed to the fish. A new little rascal, Chen Zhao said, chuckling. Fei Lai was overflowing with love. She went out and put Mario down. Poor little guy. Fei Lai touched Mario's head. From now on, you'll be called King Kong. Chen Zhao stood by the door and looked at Mario, who'd officially changed his name to King Kong. From now on, you'll be called King Kong. Also, she's your mistress. King Kong finally witnessed Qin Zhao's cruelty. Because he'd lied last night, he'd been hung on the lake for an entire night. King Kong knelt down and kowtowed to Fei Lai. He didn't know any etiquette anyway. Kowtowing was definitely the right thing to do. Chen, you scared it quite a bit. Look at how scared it is. He's too naughty. If I don't teach him a lesson, he might not know who's in charge. Don't hurt him anymore. We shouldn't teach him like this. Fine, whatever you say. Chen Zhao nodded. Smiling, Chen Zhao looked at King Kong. Come to my side. King Kong finally learned his lesson. He didn't dare to disobey Chen Zhao anymore. I'll bring him to work, Fei Lai said. Let me teach him. She was worried. Maybe Chen Zhao was torturing King Kong behind her back. King Kong is very afraid of water. If you bring it to Angel Beach, it will be so scared that it will pee itself. Ah. Is Vajra afraid of water? Yes. Chen Zhao nodded. All right then, you really can't abuse it anymore. Okay, I won't abuse it anymore. It's enough to teach it a lesson for one night. It should learn to be obedient. Fei Lai only went to work after Chen Zhao's repeated promises. As soon as Fei Lai left, King Kong was terrified. He could see that his mistress could protect him. His master, on the other hand, was dangerous, extremely dangerous. Forget it, I won't make things difficult for you. In the future, if you dare to lie to me again, just tell me first. Then it won't be as simple as hanging you for a night. I'll just chop you up. Chen Zhao tossed a demonic crystal to King Kong as a form of compensation for last night's trauma. As soon as King Kong received the demonic crystal, before he could rejoice, the tigers and wolves had already surrounded him. Chen Zhao kicked Black Ma away. Fuck off. This is only his first demonic crystal. Are you going to steal it? Master, if we don't steal the first one, does that mean we can steal it in the future? King Kong, you have to understand the dangers of the workplace. Remember to protect the demonic crystals you get in the future. If it's stolen or robbed, don't come crying to me. King Kong shuddered. Dangers of the workplace. Just then, Chen Zhao received West's call. President, are you free now? What? Can you come over? West's tone was rather serious. Sure, I'll go. Chen Zhao glanced at King Kong. King Kong had just arrived, so he had to explain some rules to him. So, Chen Zhao brought all the pets into the car and drove to the headquarters of the association. When they arrived, King Kong alighted from the car. When Adus saw King Kong's figure, he immediately exclaimed. Such a big gorilla. King Kong was about 3 times the weight of a regular mountain gorilla. After his weight measurement last night, he weighed 600 kilograms. However, compared to Princess 1,500 kilograms, there was still some difference. King Kong's figure was indeed frightening. Nevertheless, Adus knew that Chen Zhao's pets were all very smart, so he wasn't afraid. But just as he was about to go up and pat King Kong immediately roared, roar. Scared, Adus fell to the ground. Chen Zhao kicked King Kong's butt. In the future, as long as I don't think it's an enemy, don't show any hostility. Do you understand? King Kong immediately lowered his head like a child who had done something wrong, looking wronged. Chen Zhao helped Adus up. Are you okay? I'm fine. This guy just came to my house. He doesn't know many rules. Adus nodded with a bitter smile. He didn't dare to lose his temper with Chen Zhao. Chen Zhao brought his family into the headquarters. Just then, West hurried to Chen Zhao. When he saw King Kong, he was still shocked, but he quickly recovered. President. You called me here in such a hurry. What's the matter? President, look at this data. Chen Zhao took the data and glanced at it. Is this the recent rainfall in America? Yes, take a look. Starting from New York City, this line extends from Washington in the northeast all the way to San Diego here. The rainfall is constantly increasing. Almost every few days, the rainfall in nearby cities will be higher than the previous city. Chen Zhao looked at the document. San Diego has a storm. Yes. It's been a storm for 3 days. There's a certain amount of water. It's a serious disaster. Is it in San Diego already? San Diego was less than 200 kilometers away from Los Angeles. If San Diego had a storm, it wouldn't be peaceful in Los Angeles. Therefore, this storm was clearly unusual. President, I think that no, the source of depravity might come to Los Angeles earlier. Chen Zhao looked at the data. After a long silence, he asked, do you have a way to notify the LA government? Tell them to prepare to drain the floodwaters. President, before this, we have contacted several surrounding cities through the anti-terrorism department. San Diego is one of them. San Diego is also prepared, but in the end, there was still a flood. It seems that every city's sewer and drainage system will be blocked during a rainstorm. According to your estimation, when will he arrive? Chapter 755. Are there any cities nearby that have thunderstorms? I need to check the weather report. Okay, tell me as soon as possible. Oh, can the association do artificial rain? Chen Zhao asked. President, artificial rain is very expensive. Plus, we can't just rain in the city. We can only do it at sea. President, what do you want to do? Nothing, Chen Zhao said calmly. Practicing a spell. Oh, President, this is Gaia's request for weapons. Take a look and see if you agree. Isn't it just a request for weapons? What's there to disagree about? Chen Zhao said matter-of-factly. She's applying for $200,000. Whoosh, don't tell me she wants a weapon made of pure gold. That expensive. It's not pure gold, but it's close, West said. She wants a great sword made of magic metal. Chen Zhao flipped open the request. Gaia wanted a great sword that was 2 meters long and weighed 900 kilograms. 1/3 of it was made of magic metal. This meant that she needed at least 300 kilograms of magic metal. Most of the 300 kilograms of magic metal were very precious materials. The main reason was that these materials were very expensive. Agree. Gaia is the association's main fighting force now. Her request isn't too much, Chen Zhao said. Oh, I need it too. When you make weapons for Gaia, make one for me too. I'll pay for it myself, okay? Chen Zhao spat. President, that's not what I mean. That's what you mean, Chen Zhao said, annoyed. Fine, go do it. Right now, Charlotte and Cindy were about to go crazy from the whispers in their ears. However, they hadn't been sitting around waiting for death these few days. It's done. Charlotte exclaimed happily. Cindy immediately perked up. Is it done? Yes, it's finally done. Charlotte nodded and placed 2 paper figures on the table. Can this spell really be used? A few years ago, an Eastern witch from the Witch Society taught me the substitution technique. Unfortunately, that witch later returned to the East, Charlotte said. Come, pull out a strand of your hair and tie it to this. 10 minutes later, Charlotte and Cindy walked out the door. Engelid had been watching outside the door. When he saw them come out, he immediately became vigilant. Normally, Engelid, west, more and more it took turns to be in charge of surveillance. At this time, Charlotte and Cindy came to Angelite's window. "Hi, Angelite, we are going to the supermarket. Do you want to come?" After days of surveillance, they both knew of each other's existence. English and the supernatural organization weren't professional stalkers, so their surveillance was basically above board. Anyway, as long as they didn't leave their sight, Charlotte and Cindy could go wherever they wanted. Angelite smiled. "Of course. Why don't you drive us to the supermarket? You're coming anyway, and we're too lazy to drive." Angelite didn't object. It would be uncomfortable to follow behind their car, so he might as well drive them there. After they got in the car, Angelite drove to the supermarket. "What are you going to buy at the supermarket?" Angelite asked. The two of them stopped talking and just sat in the back seat, looking out the window. They must be in a bad mood. Angelite knew that they must be in a bad mood after being watched for so many days. Angelite started to drive seriously, but after driving for a while, he found a problem. Their bodies seemed a little strange. Angelite adjusted the rearview mirror. "What's going on?" "Miss Charlotte." "Miss Cindy." Angelite suddenly stopped the car. "Miss Charlotte." Angelite reached out to press Charlotte's body. Suddenly, like a deflated balloon, Charlotte's body shriveled, while Cindy remained in her original position. Something had indeed gone wrong. Angelite was very unfamiliar with this spell, but he was sure that it was some kind of spell. Angelite touched Cindy again, and indeed, Cindy shriveled up too. His face ashen, Angelite picked up the phone. "Hello, President. I think I lost Charlotte and Cindy." Charlotte and Cindy successfully escaped Los Angeles. This time, they didn't take a plane, a car, or a train. Instead, they rented a boat and went to sea directly. They had already bought tickets for the cruise. A cruise ship had been docked at the port of Los Angeles for 3 days and would leave tonight. Of course, before that, they had prepared many travel plans, including cars, trains, and planes. They hadn't decided on how to leave Los Angeles. Instead, they just decided to take the cruise. Because only if they weren't sure themselves would their movements not be divined. That was also the shortcoming of divination. It couldn't accurately grasp the uncertain future. When the cruise left Los Angeles, they could clearly feel that the mental pressure had suddenly decreased a lot. The cruise's next stop was San Francisco, where it would dock for 2 days before heading to Terresco. Then, it would turn to Hawaii and sail to Southeast Asia. That was also Charlotte and Cindy's destination. Compared to the West, the supernatural forces in the East were stronger. For example, the source of the fallen could do whatever it wanted in the West, but it might not dare to cross the ocean to the East to cause trouble. Of course, going to the East didn't mean that it was absolutely safe. Even if they went to the East, some Eastern forces would investigate their background and goal. The sea breeze was a bit strong. Only Charlotte and Cindy were on the spacious deck. Looking at the vast sea, the two were somewhat disappointed. "Charlotte, what should we do after we go to the East?" "I've already contacted a force on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. I'm going there to be a magic instructor and teach Western magic," Charlotte said. "Will we never be able to come back? We betrayed the source of the fallen and then we betrayed Chin. Now, we're completely cornered. No matter who wins, we're destined to be hated by them. No matter who it is, we won't be able to fight back unless we become stronger." Just then, a woman suddenly ran over from the deck, followed by another woman. Chapter 756. The woman chasing after him just stood there coldly. "Go ahead. If you jump down from here, it'll save me a lot of trouble." Charlotte and Cindy watched the melodramatic scene before them. The girl sitting on the railing. You can just jump down or jump down. Why don't you just come down? The hearts of the audience like us are shaking along with you. Rossetti, you weren't like this before. The girl sitting on the railing was very sad, tears streaming down her face. You had the chance to be with me, but you gave up the chance Master gave you. Charlotte and Cindy exchanged glances. They had a vague feeling. The woman called Rossetti was very similar to them. She was like a witch controlled by the fallen source. She was filled with coldness towards the past, without any ripples. Giselle, you have one last chance. Go back with me and pledge your loyalty to the director. I will never pledge my loyalty to that demon. He killed your mother, Rossetti. How can you do this? From the moment she refused to serve the director, she was no longer my mother. Giselle couldn't understand what kind of magic that demon had. Why had he turned her senior sister into a different person? He was so cruel that it made people's hair stand on end. Even when her own mother was killed, he was still so cold and heartless. Charlotte and Cindy, on the other hand, knew how they felt about Rossetti. Because they had also become such people. That twisted way of thinking had already turned them into another kind of person. I will never conspire with you. Even if I die, I will fight that demon to the end. One day, I will kill him. Just then, Rossetti's palms flashed with electricity. Looks like you've given up your last chance. Rossetti pointed at Giselle. Then you can die. Hey, did you guys forget about us? Cindy suddenly reminded. Rossetti and Giselle turned to look at Charlotte and Cindy. It wasn't that they didn't see them, but that they had treated them as ordinary people. Giselle felt that after she was killed, they would also be silenced. But just then, a water ball suddenly appeared above Rossetti's head. The water ball fell and enveloped Rossetti within it. Rossetti struggled violently. The water ball was pure water, and she couldn't breathe at all. At the same time, a stone awl appeared behind the water bowl. Poochie, the stone awl pierced through Rossetti's body. Then, she lost consciousness. You killed her. You killed Rossetti. Giselle was caught off guard by the sudden turn of events. A moment ago, Rossetti wanted to kill her, but the next moment, it was Rossetti who died. What? Are you pitying her? She wants to kill you. Charlotte coldly looked at Giselle. Giselle hesitated for a long time. She looked at Charlotte and Cindy's eyes. Suddenly, Giselle's expression changed. You are the same as Rossetti. You are also fallen. That's right, us too. Charlotte did not deny it. But, why? If you're the same as Rossetti, why did you kill her? Because we got rid of its control, Charlotte said calmly. You can get rid of control after turning into a fallen. Giselle looked at the two women in confusion. Of course. We're an example. How did you do it? Did you use some special magic? No, because our situation is a bit special. The source of the fallen was once injured, which greatly weakened its control over us. If you want to see the result, go to Los Angeles. Perhaps there's someone there who can fulfill your desire for revenge. Of course, that person might not be able to stop the source of the fallen. Los Angeles. There's an abnormally powerful being there. He once defeated the source of the fallen, and the source of the fallen hates him to the core. The source of the fallen has been hunting and corrupting witches all over the place just to fight him, Charlotte said. Giselle's eyes flickered as she looked at Charlotte and Cindy. She doubted their words. Giselle had a deep understanding of the terrifying source of the fallen. It was a terrifying existence that had never been seen before. There was no one who could defeat such a monster. Now, from their tone, it seemed that there really was someone who could defeat the source of the fallen. And the source of the fallen was currently corrupting witches everywhere just to deal with that person. Was that even possible? Then where are you going? We're going to escape Los Angeles and this country. Why? Because we're traitors of the source of the fallen and enemies of that person. Giselle got off the boat in San Francisco. She chose to believe the two women's words. If there was really going to be a war in Los Angeles, she definitely couldn't miss it. She had to watch the source of the fallen be destroyed with her own eyes. Then, she took a plane to Los Angeles. Giselle had just left the airport and was about to hail a car when she suddenly heard a beeping sound not far away. Giselle turned around and saw a boy around 15 or 16 years old. He was holding a strange device in his hand, which seemed to be the source of the beeping sound. When she looked at the boy also looked at her. Giselle walked towards the boy, who seemed to be afraid of her. He turned around and ran into a car. "Enrich, hurry up and drive. I found a witch. It's so scary. This witch has more than 200 magic power. She's at least C rank." Hearing that, Enrich didn't plan to stay. He was just about to start the car when he realized that the engine was off. Turning around, he saw Giselle leaning against the car window and looking at them. "Who are you? Do you know me?" No, Enrich hurriedly said. Beep, beep, beep. The device in Moore's hand was still beeping. It was the third generation of the magic power testing device developed by Jolig and Padalu. It could detect a person's magic power from several meters away. They all knew that there would be a war in Los Angeles soon, so they were now stationed at the port, train station, and airport to see if there were witches or paranormal people coming from Los Angeles. They also investigated if there were any fallen ones. Moore and Enrich were in charge of the airport, but they didn't expect to be discovered on the first day. Chapter 757. Moore and Enrich didn't dare to resist. They directly handed the device to Giselle. "What's this?" "Magic testing device. 205. This is my magic value." "Yes." Giselle soon figured out how to use the magic power measuring device. She tested it on Moore and Enrich and found that their values were quite low. "Who are you?" "We're members of the Supernatural Organization, Mississippi. Our mission is to investigate every paranormal who comes to Los Angeles. We mean no harm." Giselle nodded and returned the device to them. Every city had its own rules. In the past, when they went to other cities, they would also be investigated by the local supernatural forces. "Miss, are you interested in going to our organization to do a more accurate magic level evaluation? We can give you the most professional evaluation, as well as a certificate and status symbol." "Yes, Mississippi, look, this is the ring that represents my level." They both shook the gray rings on their fingers. "The Supernatural Organization." "Yes. Sure. Let's go." Giselle nodded. She also wanted to find out more about the supernatural forces in Los Angeles. In fact, Moore and Enrich also wanted to confirm if Giselle was a fallen. Although the device could measure magic power, it couldn't tell if someone was a fallen. The two brought Giselle to the Supernatural Organization. Giselle followed them and got out of the car. At that moment, Giselle saw a tall woman brandishing an incomparably large sword. Moreover, the huge sword was emitting a heart-palpitating flame. It wasn't an ordinary flame. It was a flame that could even destroy souls. The sword danced in front of Giselle from a distance of more than 10 meters. Giselle felt the burst of mana from the sword's edge. Giselle didn't just feel magic power. She also felt the power of destruction. "It's her. It's her." The two women said that the one who could fight against the fallen was her. Giselle looked at Giselle with bright eyes. What's her name? Giselle. She's the strongest member of the supernatural organization. By then, Giselle had already finished her practice. She stabbed the sword into the ground. Morangelite, who is she? Gaia, she's the witch I met at the airport. She wants to have a magic test. Oh, just in time. I also want to test my magic power. I feel like my strength has improved a lot recently, Gaia said. Hi, I'm Giselle from Denver. Denver. It seems like there was a rainstorm there. Yes, many people died, Giselle said meaningfully. Let's test our magic power first, Gaia said. Miss Giselle, there are many free magic power assessment services. Please pay $10,000 first. Do you pay by card? Of course. Angelite excitedly took Giselle's card. By the way, I sell insurance in my spare time. Miss Giselle, do you want to buy an insurance policy? 205 magic power, rank C, Miss Giselle, this is your magic ring. Angelite handed a ring to Giselle. Excellent. Indeed, in the entire supernatural organization, only Gaia could compare to Giselle. Of course, there was also their terrifying president. However, in the hearts of the association members, their president could not even be considered a human. Silver ring. Miss Gaia, what level is your red ring? I'm rank B, Gaia said. But just then, she held the ball on the testing device with both hands. Just then, the number on the device started soaring. Wow, 588 magic power. Gaia, you're so strong. You're improving so fast. You're already rank A, Angelite gave Gaia a golden ring, which Gaia was very satisfied with. Giselle looked at Gaia with admiration. Miss Gaia, you fought a very, very strong monster before, right? Gaia was stunned. Are you a fortune teller? Seeing that Gaia did not deny it, Giselle was even more certain that Gaia was that person. Miss Gaia, I want to be your servant. Sorry, I can't accept it. Why? Is it because I'm not strong enough? No, because I don't think I have the right to have a servant. No, you do. No matter what you say, I won't accept it. Just then, the door outside was pushed open. Giselle realized that there was an Asian standing outside. Where's West? Chen Zhao asked. Where did that asterisk shoal go? Chen, why are you looking for West? Fishing, Chen Zhao said. Gaia rolled her eyes. She did not believe that Chen Zhao wanted to go fishing. Chen Zhao was never the kind of person who was willing to spend hours sitting in front of a fishing rod without moving. Usually, he could not even stay in the same position for 3 minutes in a meeting. Different from Gaia, Giselle glanced at Chen Zhao. She already saw him as a passerby. Chen Zhao was probably like more an elite, a marginal figure in the supernatural organization. By the way, is that big sword you just made? Yeah, I just got it today. Fuck, where's mine? Why did you promise me that you would make a set of weapons for me? I even asked for the weapons to be made with my own money, but yours is paid for by the association. Why is it so unfair? Giselle thought to herself, how can you compare to Gaia? Gaia is the most powerful fighter in the supernatural organization. You want a weapon too? Don't you have a weapon? I'm not giving it to myself, Chen Zhao said. It's for my new pet. That gorilla. Yeah, it's in LA. By the way, who is she? Giselle, a witch. Hello, Miss Witch. Where are you from? Giselle turned her head away, her expression arrogant. Chen Zhao pursed his lips, a little annoyed. Tell West that if he doesn't appear before me in 10 minutes, I'll throw him into the ocean to feed the fish. President, I'm here. West's voice came from outside. Did you do what I told you to do? Chen Zhao asked. Yes, I did. The weapon is outside. As they spoke, they left. That man is your president? Giselle asked. Yes. What kind of wizard is he? Him. I guess he's a druid. Our president is really powerful. He's my idol. Moore's eyes were filled with admiration. All right, Chen isn't here, so you don't have to suck up to him. Gaia rolled her eyes. Giselle was even more certain that even Gaia didn't care about the president. Chapter 758. President, it's ready. I found an island for you. That island will have cumulonimbus clouds this afternoon. I've also found someone to rain the rain. They'll shoot dry ice bombs at 8 at night above the island, West said. The rain will last for about 2 hours. Chen Zhao nodded. He had to go home too and bring King Kong to the island. At noon, Chen Zhao took King Kong out to sea. The island West found for Chen Zhao wasn't far. It was less than 200 nautical miles from Los Angeles. However, the island was a coral reef. It was very small, only 3 to 4 square kilometers. King Kong, start setting up the magic array. The two chose an empty space. King Kong was in charge of setting up the magic array while Chen Zhao was in charge of creating the lightning device. The magic array had a diameter of more than 10 meters. Chen Zhao couldn't understand it. He waited until 8:00 at night, waiting for the rain to come. Just then, the wind started to get stronger. Thunder boomed in the sky. Chen Zhao stood in the center of the magic array. King Kong was in charge of the array. There were 3 lightning rods around him. The wires of the 3 rods were all connected to the magic array. The first thing that came down was the rain. The heavy rain came down with a loud crash. King Kong controlled the magic array as if he was dancing. Then he started waiting for the lightning to strike. Master, there will be lightning today, right? There should be. Chen Zhao wasn't very sure either. Suddenly, thunder boomed in the sky. It's coming. Get ready. Master, use all your strength. Boom. The lightning didn't hit the magic array. Chen Zhao was discouraged. Wait for the next one. Boom. It didn't hit the array again. Chen Zhao stood in the rain for 2 hours. Then the lightning didn't even hit the array. Chen Zhao went from standing to sitting. In the end, he just lay on the magic array. Seeing that the rain was about to stop, Chen Zhao completely gave up. Boom. Suddenly, a lightning bolt landed on the magic array without any warning. The array immediately shone with dazzling light. Ah! Chen Zhao felt all the electricity pass through his body. Chen Zhao jumped up. The electricity seemed to have touched something in his body. The lightning didn't do much damage to him. Chen Zhao's current fitness was extraordinary. They were dozens of times stronger than ordinary people, and they also had magic resistance. This kind of lightning couldn't deal fatal damage to him at all. King Kong, how was it? Did you succeed? Master, it failed. King Kong shook its head. What? Failed? Why? So I took that hit for nothing. Master, the power of the lightning is too weak. All the steps are enough, but it didn't activate the power factor in your body. So, as long as the power is large enough, it will work. Chen Zhao thought about generating electricity, but King Kong rejected the idea. This won't work. Only when the lightning pierces through the heavens and earth, carrying the elements of the world and channeling them into the body, will it be effective? Forget it, failure is failure. Let's go home. Chen Zhao was disappointed, but he was prepared to fail. After Chen Zhao and King Kong left, the demon horns around the magic formation suddenly shattered. President, did the spell you wanted to cast last night succeed? West asked. I failed. Chen Zhao was in a bad mood. Originally, he went with high hopes. But the result was not satisfactory. I don't want to hear any bad news today. Usually, Chen Zhao would transfer the unhappiness to someone else when he didn't want to deal with it. Where's the weapon I wanted? It's done, West said immediately. He didn't want to become Chen Zhao's target. President, there's another piece of good news. Tell me. The witch called Giselle, who came to our association yesterday, is willing to join our association. Our association has added another member. She has sea-level magic power and is able to control machinery. Did you find out her background? Not yet. You dare to bring her into the society without investigating. Who gave you this much power? Don't you have to go through me when new members join? What if she's a fallen? Ah. Then I'll go tell her now and reject her joining. Are you stupid? There are so few people in the society now and you're pushing a rank C witch out. Are you going to rely on the few of you to support the society? West was about to cry. Then what should I do? Bring Giselle to my office. I'll interrogate her personally and find out her true intentions. Oh, I'll go tell Giselle. West escaped from Chen Zhao's office. Chen Zhao was clearly going to use them today. Every 15 minutes in front of Chen Zhao was another 15 minutes of danger. A while later, Giselle came to Chen Zhao's office. President. Giselle looked at Chen Zhao. Her eyes were filled with pride. To her, the man before her was trash. Just like most members of the supernatural organization. However, Gaia alone was enough for the society. I heard that you're from Denver. Yes. I heard that Denver suffered some kind of attack. Not only did the city flood, but the supernatural world also suffered great losses. That's right. A trace of sorrow appeared in Giselle's eyes. You know what I'm talking about, right? Yes, I know. The source of the fallen. Then you also know that the source of the fallen can control witches and distort their thoughts, right? I know. Then how can I guarantee that you're not a controlled fallen? A while later, Giselle walked out of Chen Zhao's office. West stood outside the door. Giselle, how did it go with the president? The president already accepted me, Giselle said. Oh, that's good. Oh, how did you prove it to the president? I told him that I'm willing to give him $100,000 as long as he doesn't question or harass me. West's eyeballs almost popped out. That's possible. Okay, you can go. After Giselle left, West entered Chen Zhao's office. President, why did you do that? Didn't you say that you wanted to test Giselle? Did you buy you over with $100,000? Of course not. Think about it. If she's a fallen and controlled by the source of the fallen, with its hatred for me, will he give me $100,000? But, no buts, Chen Zhao said. You don't understand the source of the fallen. With his hatred for me, he won't compromise with me, even if he's just pretending. I know him well. The $100,000 isn't the deciding factor. It's his attitude. Chapter 759. If you give me $1,000, then I'll definitely be a fallen one. Why? $1,000 is definitely an insult to me. West was speechless at Chen Zhao's words. You're the boss. You call the shots. It could be said that Giselle despised that president to the extreme. He was bought over with just $100,000. She even thought that it wasn't worth it. Perhaps $1,000 was enough to shut him up. After returning home, Chen Zhao took out the weapon that was specially made for King Kong. It was just a big hammer. It wasn't made specially. Other than its size, there was nothing special about it. The hammer weighed 5 tons and the rod was 4 meters tall. King Kong didn't have any other moves. He just used the hammer to smash. It was very powerful. Recently, the wind in L had been getting stronger and stronger. The weather forecast said that a storm would hit Los Angeles in the near future. Chen Zhao also had the last meeting before the storm. You know the situation now. I won't say more. Chen Zhao looked at everyone. Chen Zhao glanced at the crowd. This has nothing to do with the supernatural organization. Don't look for trouble. Everyone, go home and find your mothers. No matter what happens outside, it has nothing to do with you. From today onwards, we'll have a week off. If the storm continues for a long time, the holiday will be postponed. President, how can we do that? Isn't the supernatural organization supposed to protect normal people? Giselle couldn't take it anymore. She stood up and argued with Chen Zhao. The people in the Middle East also live in the water, Chen Zhao said. If you want to, you can go there. Chen Zhao ignored Giselle. Everyone has a family and a job. Take care of your family and friends first, then protect world peace. Gaia, you too. Gaia didn't speak. She just sat there with her arms crossed. She didn't even look at Chen Zhao. She knew that Chen Zhao planned to do it alone. No matter what she said now, Chen Zhao would stop her. He would even chase her out of L.A. directly. Instead of being stopped by Chen Zhao, it was better to just keep quiet. Giselle looked at Chen Zhao in disdain. She didn't speak either. After a few more words, Chen Zhao ended the meeting. Giselle found Gaia. Gaia, do you know how to act alone? Gaia looked down at Giselle and said, listen to the president. This isn't something you can participate in. Hide yourself well and don't go out. Gaia's reply made Giselle even more certain that Gaia was going to act alone. The windy weather affected the operation of Los Angeles to a certain extent. However, Chen Zhao was quite happy. Angel Beach had also issued a warning, so Fei Lai was on holiday. The wind at Mirror Lake was rather strong today. Chen Zhao and Fei Lai both swam in the lake. Fei Lai, I suddenly wish there were a few storms like this in L.A. every year. If L.A. comes here a few times every year, how much money would we lose? Fei Lai rolled her eyes. Chen Zhao didn't care. It wasn't like he was losing money. After getting out of the water, the inferior demons brought them towels. Chen, why don't we go to Sacramento for a few days while L.A. is having a storm? Chen Zhao glanced at Fei Lai. I still have some things to do in L.A. You look forward to my holidays every day, but in the end, you still haven't put down your work. Chen Zhao smiled wryly. If this wasn't resolved, they would never have peace. Fei Lai could vaguely feel that this might be like what happened in New York. She felt bad for Chen Zhao, so she hoped that they could go to Sacramento for a few days. It's just a small matter. Chen Zhao chuckled. Why don't you stay at Fei Lai's for a few days? Oh, bring Princess and the others too. No, I don't want to go out these days. Fei Lai didn't want to leave Chen Zhao's side this time. No matter what, she wanted to be with him. Chen, the atmosphere in L.A. is a bit off recently, Sienna called to ask. Is something going to happen? Indeed, something will happen. Try not to go out. Oh, stay with Rupert. It's best if you go out and play for a few days before coming back. No, Sienna said. If there's really something, then I can't leave, Sienna said. Movich Tutis company can't do without me. Okay, whatever. But if you run into danger, don't get into a fight. If you feel that something's wrong, run or tell me directly. Got it. Chen Zhao told all his friends. Those who could listen would listen. Those who couldn't, there was nothing he could do. That night, it started to drizzle in L.A. However, it was very light, just a hazy drizzle. It didn't affect L.A.'s normal order. Just like that, it drizzled for 2 days without stopping. It didn't seem to be getting heavier either. Mr. Chen, are you busy now? Li Qing called Chen Zhao's number. No, I don't have anything to do these 2 days. What's up? Mr. Ethan's rheumatism is acting up. He can't stand up straight. He doesn't want to trouble you, so I want to ask if you have time to come over and take a look at him. Sure, no problem, Chen Zhao agreed at once. After telling Fei Lai, Chen Zhao drove off. Because of the rain, there seemed to be more guests at the hotel. Ever since the fire, the hotel had been renovated. Many facilities were .d2. Now, the hotel was a bit better. Ethan's business started to improve too. When Chen Zhao arrived at the hotel, Li Qing was in charge of the front desk. When Chen Zhao arrived at Ethan's room, the old bastard was still having sex. Fuck, I heard from Miss Li that you're about to die. Fuck, why are you here? Ethan stared at Chen Zhao with wide eyes. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes. Why didn't you call me when your rheumatism is acting up? It's just a small problem, Ethan said in boredom. I really should fire Li. I've already ordered her not to call you, Ethan said uninterestedly. Chen Zhao couldn't do acupuncture on Ethan while saying, Ethan, go play in another city with Miss Li for a while. Something dangerous might happen in L.A. Lying on the bed, Ethan refused directly. How can that be? I have so many guests here. Whatever. You won't listen even if I tell you. Don't go out these days. Do you think I can go out? Just then, someone walked past the door. Chen Zhao turned around. It was Giselle. Giselle also noticed Chen Zhao. Why are you here? Giselle looked at Chen Zhao in surprise. I'm a doctor, Chen Zhao said. Chapter 760. After treating Ethan, Chen Zhao planned to go home. Just as he was about to drive, Giselle suddenly got in his car. Chen Zhao was shocked. What are you doing? Giselle, I already have a girlfriend. Giselle gave Chen Zhao a document. Chen Zhao flipped through 2 pages. It was filled with names and addresses. He didn't understand what it was. What do you mean? Are you the president of the supernatural organization or not? Can't you see your own organization's information? Oh. Is this our organization's information? You know that I'm usually busy with work. I don't pay attention to unimportant information like this. Go to the first address. You have friends. Giselle rolled her eyes. This is the address of a fallen person. Only then did Chen Zhao understand. These days, the society had been investigating all kinds of people who came to Los Angeles with magical power. Some people had been confirmed, but they'd been crossed out. There were also some people whose identities weren't confirmed. They were all on this document. Giselle, on the other hand, recognized the information on one of the documents. Okay. Chen Zhao drove the car to the address on the document. He also wanted to see if he could find a few more fallen ones. Before the battle, he'd kill a few first. It was an abandoned factory. Chen Zhao looked at the closed door. I'll call someone. No need. I'll go in myself. It's too dangerous inside. You don't even know what's going on inside. Also, the fallen are very strong. Giselle glanced at Chen Zhao, her eyes filled with disdain. I had Padalu make some special weapons for me, she said coolly. I'm not afraid of them now. Okay. Chen Zhao stopped trying to stop Giselle. Giselle realized that Chen Zhao had gotten out of the car with her. You're going in too. I won't. Chen Zhao shook his head. He realized that there was a sewer beside the abandoned factory. A pair of eyes was staring at him from under the cover of the sewer, so Chen Zhao decided to check it out. Giselle thought to herself, sure enough, this guy is a coward. She really didn't understand how he became the president of the supernatural organization. To Giselle, only Gaia could be the president. Forget it, now is not the time to be entangled in this matter. Giselle cautiously approached the iron gate of the factory and secretly pushed it open. There was a witch sitting cross-legged on the ground, meditating. The witch did not turn her head. She seemed to have noticed Giselle. Giselle, you shouldn't be here. You already knew I was coming. Have you forgotten my main profession of magic? I'm a prophet. The witch turned her head. She was a black witch, a contemporary of Giselle's mother. I can see the strong aura of death on your body. You will die here, the black witch said. Giselle took out more than 10 balls. The black witch was a little surprised. What are these things? Giselle threw the balls out, and the balls suddenly spun in mid-air, extending their wings and beginning to circle around. The black witch raised her hand and shot a flame at the black gas. The spinning balls immediately dispersed, causing the black witch's attack to miss. These flying balls were made by Padalu. They could spin and fly, and their wings were extremely sharp. Shwa! A flying ball flew past the black witch's arm. The black witch was enraged. Suddenly, a flying ball landed at the black witch's feet. Just as the black witch was about to kick the ball away, the ball suddenly sprayed out a cold air, instantly freezing the black witch's legs. These spinning balls were all sealed with some special substances. For example, strong acids, kerosene, or liquid nitrogen. Giselle was able to freely control these flying balls. Her magic allowed her to control these things as she pleased. The black witch was in extreme pain. She twisted her body. The flesh of her lower body began to crack, but she didn't seem to feel the pain. She twisted her body crazily. Finally, the black witch's upper body and the frozen lower body were completely separated. Just like that, the black witch only had half of her body left, crawling on the ground with difficulty. Giselle had never seen such a crazy enemy before. Even though she knew that the black witch had become a fallen. But this was also the first time she saw such a crazy fallen. Just then, octopus tentacles suddenly stretched out from the black witch's stomach. Giselle was shocked. She looked at the black witch again. She had now become an octopus person. Her upper body was human, and her lower body had been replaced by an octopus. I'm going to kill you. The black witch roared angrily. Then you should die first. Giselle no longer showed mercy. A flying ball flew over the black witch's head, and a large amount of strong acid sprayed from it. Ah! The black witch wailed in pain. Seeing that Giselle was more difficult to deal with than she had imagined, the black witch turned around and fled. Although she had been suppressed by Giselle, her escape speed wasn't slow at all. Moreover, the octopus' lower body allowed her to walk in the complex factory environment as if it were flat ground. Giselle was also chasing after the black witch. But in this complex environment, her flying ball was also limited, and she couldn't fly as freely as in the open space in front of her. Just then, the black witch came to the entrance of a sewer, opened the manhole cover, and threw it directly at Giselle. Giselle hurriedly dodged, and the Black Witch plunged into the sewer. Giselle also followed her into the sewer. But in the sewer, Giselle didn't run far before she saw blood on the ground. There's someone else here. Giselle ran a few more steps and found a broken arm. Giselle continued forward and saw 2 corpses. She recognized one of the corpses. It was the witch from Denver. But this person had become a fallen more than 10 days ago. The 2 corpses were strung in a straight line by a steel bar and embedded in the wall. Giselle continued forward and saw another corpse. It was also the corpse of a witch. The lower body of this corpse was also an octopus, just like the Black Witch from before. But this corpse's head was gone. The deeper she went, the more nauseous Giselle felt. The more bloody the path became. It was as if a massacre had happened here. Giselle found a relatively large space in the sewer, which had become a slaughterhouse. Corpses that she recognized and did not recognize were all discarded here. Chapter 761. Giselle didn't find a single living person. There were only corpses. She was sure that everything here belonged to the fallen. But she didn't understand who would come here. The dozen or so fallen were completely wiped out. Giselle shuddered. She turned and ran out. When she reached the corner, she saw a head. Looking closely, she realized that it was the head of the Black Witch she'd chased earlier. Giselle ran out of the sewers. She saw Chen Zhao from afar. "President, darling, I really went to Ethan's house to treat him. Then I went to the supermarket and went home. I'm going home now." President, Chen Zhao glanced at Giselle. "I'm in a hurry, so I can't take you back to the hotel. Take a taxi." Here's $50. Take it as travel expenses. Bye." With that, Chen Zhao drove the car away. Shoal. Giselle looked back at the dilapidated factory behind her and shivered. She didn't want to stay here anymore. Giselle finally managed to hail a taxi and dawdled for an hour before returning to the headquarters. Giselle found the tool room. Jolig and Padaloo were inside. Jolig was a weapon designer, while Padaloo was good at manufacturing. "Padaloo, I need to make a few more spinning balls." "Huh? Did you fight with someone just now?" "Yes, that Shoal president. I was fighting and he didn't do anything. He was talking to his girlfriend the whole time. In the end, he even left me here." Hearing the topic about Chen Zhao, Jolig and Padaloo immediately stopped talking. "I don't understand why someone like him is our president. Are you that scared of him? The last person who disobeyed the president's orders and disobeyed him was killed right in front of us." In Giselle's mind, Chen Zhao was not only useless, but also a tyrant. "Don't you know how to resist? I have high hopes for you. You can try resisting the president. Let's see if he won't beat you up." Jolig rolled his eyes. "I'll be beaten up." Giselle sneered. "I'm not trash like you," she thought. The storm in Los Angeles was getting stronger. At the same time, the tide outside Los Angeles did not rise. Instead, it receded on a large scale. This also cast a shadow over the citizens of Los Angeles. There was only one possibility for such an unusual retreat. The tsunami had arrived. The city of Los Angeles issued a red alert. Almost all traffic in Los Angeles came to a standstill. Airports, railways, and ships had all stopped operating. Factories stopped working and schools were suspended. Everyone knew that a disaster was coming. After nightfall, the wind became stronger and the rain became heavier. A large area of water had already appeared on the streets. Moreover, the water was growing very quickly. Some streets were already completely covered by the water. Feilai, it seems like it's raining heavily today. Should we sleep early? Don't you think it's very romantic in this weather? Chen Zhao looked at Feilai helplessly. Whatever makes you happy. The water level of Mirror Lake had risen and filled the living room. King Kong curled up on the second floor, shivering. He was most afraid of water, and this kind of storm made him even more frightened. Chen Zhao silently took out a lucky coin and wiped a drop of blood on it. May God bless you with great fortune. In the rainy night, Gaia carried her sword and left her apartment. Just as she was about to get into the car, she saw a black shadow sitting in her car. Gaia suddenly lifted the sword. Just then, Giselle's head poked out of the window. Gaia, it's me. Why are you here? Ms. Gaia, you're going to fight the source of the fallen, right? I'm coming too. Get out. Why? Why? Gaia glanced at Giselle. This isn't something you should be involved in. Gaia, do you know what happened to me? West investigated, Gaia said. Currently, you're senior sisters and you've all met with mishaps. The supernatural organization wouldn't be so careless. Just anyone could apply to join. Plus, the situation was so tense right now. Who knew if the fallen had ulterior motives? Therefore, Giselle's identity and background had already been investigated thoroughly. I must join. You'll only be a hindrance, Gaia said. The president and I will handle this. President? He'll only make us hide. He's not reliable at all. I don't know what misunderstandings you have about Chin, but he's done much more for the organization than you know, Gaia said. Also, the main battlefield is in front of the president's house. I don't care where the main battlefield is. I'm going. Forget it, Gaia said. If there's a battle later, no one will protect you. You can only rely on yourself. I'm the same. Gaia brought Giselle to Mountain Town. However, when they arrived, the two realized that the town had already become a sea of water. Their car had also broken down in the puddles. Let's get out and walk. It's not far anyway. Gaia, where are we going now? To the president's house. Why? Where? I told you, it'll be the main battlefield. Why? Because the president has a grudge against the source of the fallen. Grudge? What kind of grudge? The president gave the source of the fallen a nickname. The source of the fallen is furious. What nickname can make the source of the fallen go to the president directly? A monster with tentacles. Pfft, Giselle almost choked on her laughter. No wonder the source of the fallen hates the president so much. The water was very deep right now. The water had already reached their waists, which made it even more difficult for them to move in the water. Why does the president live in such a remote place? Why? Don't talk so much. The more you talk, the more energy you use. Save your energy for battle. Suddenly, a huge black shadow flashed past in front of them. It was a huge ship, but it wasn't floating on the water. Instead, it floated in the air. It was a stormy night, so they could only vaguely see the outline of the ship. What's that? Gaia and Giselle both gasped. Gaia immediately sped up and charged toward Chen Zhao's house. At the moment, Chen Zhao was sitting above the internal alchemy on the lake. He didn't want to fight in his house. After all, he'd spent a lot of money to build it. If a battle broke out inside the house, it would definitely be destroyed. Chapter 762. Chen Zhao looked up at the black shadow above his head. Boat? The fallen source's entrance seemed to have become a lot more ostentatious. If the ship were to crash down, it would probably make him dizzy. Fortunately, the ship floating in the sky had no such thoughts. At this time, fallen one after another descended from the sky. Dozens of degenerates stood on the surface of Mirror Lake. Their feet touched the surface of the lake but did not sink. These degenerates didn't say anything and directly attacked. The mana of each of the fallen began to interweave, forming a magic array. Chen Zhao looked at the degenerates. You should call your ****** out. It doesn't matter how many cannon fodder like you come. Just then, a wave came from the water in the distance. The source of the fallen had entered Mirror Lake from the river mouth. Human, we meet again. Hi, how have you been? Chen Zhao looked at the source of the fallen. Can we be more direct? Don't beat around the bush. Do you think these witches are useless to you? Are they useful? I can't tell. Chen Zhao shook his head. These 36 witches are all demon-suppressing witches that I have carefully selected. All of them possess powerful suppressing magic, and they have now formed a sealing magic array. Even I can't break free. You? Do you think you're stronger than me? Chen Zhao wanted to take a step, but he realized that he couldn't move at all. He really couldn't move. Chen Zhao tried to move again, but he still couldn't. What do you think? Isn't that a pleasant surprise? The fallen Provenance's voice was filled with joy. Chen Zhao looked at the source of the fallen. Have you forgotten that this is my main battlefield? At this moment, many ghostly lights suddenly appeared on both sides of Mirror Lake. The fully armed skeleton soldiers appeared and started shooting at the witches on the lake. One by one, the witches were killed. Chen Zhao also felt that the suppression seemed to have weakened, but he still couldn't move. Activate Zeus' wrath immediately. The fallen source was not naive enough to think that this magic array could take care of Chen Zhao. The spaceship in the sky suddenly flashed with electricity. Gaia and Giselle saw the lightning above Mirror Lake. Oh no, they've already started fighting. Gaia and Giselle found a piece of wood and used it as a boat, paddling with all their might. Finally, they arrived at Mirror Lake. They saw Chen Zhao trapped in the center of the lake by the witches and the rain of bullets. Chen! I'll help you. Gaia yelled and leaped into the air from the wooden plank. Gaia's great sword slashed down, and a fallen instantly received a lunchbox. Gaia! Don't come any closer. At this moment, the dark clouds in the sky suddenly flashed with lightning and thunder. Countless bolts of lightning shot towards the spaceship in mid-air, causing the spaceship to emit a bright light. Then, the lightning from the ship shot at Chen Zhao. Bang! Oh no! A huge shockwave spread out in all directions with Chen Zhao at the center. Gaia was sent flying by the impact. Chen Zhao was hit by a huge electric current. He couldn't stop trembling. Right now, Chen Zhao was in extreme pain, but he also had another feeling. That feeling was very much like in wuxia novels, where the Ren and Du meridians were opened. However, after the huge shock, Chen Zhao also lost consciousness. He fell onto the water and didn't move. Giselle didn't expect that the president she hated and despised would die like this. But it was reasonable. After all, he was facing the terrifying provenance of the fallen. No! Fei Lai rushed out of the house and wanted to swim to Chen Zhao. Gaia had already woken up. He also roared, no! A bunch of trash. The provenance of the fallen glanced at the remaining people. More fallen landed from the spaceship in the sky. Gaia swung his great sword and split a fallen in half. Gaia's blade burned with scorching dragon breath as he waved it around wildly. Even the pouring rain couldn't extinguish the flames on the blade. Fei Lai had already swam to Chen Zhao's side and dragged him to the top of the internal alchemy. Chen, how can you do this? How can you leave me? Feilai cried. Chen, how can you do this? Suddenly, Feilai remembered and immediately pulled a gold coin from her neck. Right, scapegoat coin, scapegoat coin. Chen, don't die, don't die. However, Chen Zhao still didn't move. He lay quietly in Feilai's arms. Gaia fought her way to the shore. When she saw Feilai in the middle of the lake, she immediately jumped back in. But just then, a tentacle wrapped around her and pulled her into the air. Obey me. Gaia had dragon blood. How could she be controlled by the provenance of the fallen? Flames suddenly erupted from Gaia's body. The tentacle was immediately released by the burning flames. At this moment, Gaia released her tentacles, and with a push of her feet, she rose a few meters higher. Gaia's body fell like a meteor falling from the sky, crashing toward the provenance of the fallen. When Giselle saw Gaia, her eyes were filled with anticipation and admiration. As expected, she could only hope for Gaia in the end. But the provenance of the fallen didn't give Gaia a chance to touch the body at all. A huge tentacle suddenly swept toward the falling Gaia. Bang! Gaia was sent flying and smashed onto the shore. Gaia stood up with difficulty and vomited a mouthful of blood. It was too difficult. Fighting a monster like this was too difficult. Even Chen Zhao couldn't win, let alone herself. Giselle's face was filled with shock. Her original hope instantly vanished into thin air. How could this be? Why was there such a huge difference? Could even Gaia not win against the provenance of the fallen? More degenerates landed from the spacecraft in the air. They all charged toward Feilai and Chen Zhao. Gaia wanted to go forward to help, but if she moved, she would fall into the water. Her leg bones and ribs were all broken. Gaia panicked even more. Right now, she could only use her sword to support her body. Roar! A dragon's roar reverberated in all directions. Suddenly, a red light appeared in the darkness. From the direction of the mansion, something covered in flames rose into the air. Disbelief filled Gaia's eyes. She could feel the blood in her body starting to boil. She'd had the same feeling back on Zytral Island. It was the same feeling as when the three-headed dragon had appeared. But this time, the feeling was even more intense. The flames shot up from the bottom. A pillar of fire shot into the sky. Chapter 763. Abydos had already transformed into a 7-meter-long fire dragon. He roared at the sky. Abydos hadn't grown much, but his body had become much larger. Fire dragon. Gaia and Giselle were both shocked. Chen Zhao had a fire dragon. Immediately, 9 snake heads popped out of the water. Each of the 9 snake heads bit down on the 9 fallen ones. The 9 snakes circled around Feilai, protecting her. Hydra. Little 9 had a corrosive bomb on the left and a poisonous gas on the right. Anyone who wanted to approach Feilai was killed by Little 9. Abydos kept flying above Mirror Lake, circling around Feilai. He spat out dragon breath and surrounded Feilai. Suddenly, Gaia realized that something was moving under her feet. She took 2 steps back in fright. Vines started rising from the water. More and more vines appeared, forming a wall of vines. It wasn't just around her. The entire Mirror Lake was surrounded. Then, Gaia saw a big tree appear in front of her without her noticing. Eugenus had joined the battle too. Gaia recognized the tree. It was the one Chen Zhao had planted in the backyard. The entire Mirror Lake was now surrounded by a wall of vines. Next, Cerberus joined the battle too. The Cerberus's body was wreathed in hellfire as it suddenly burst out of the water and bit down on one of the fallen. The 3 heads shook, and the fallen one split into 3. Cerberus! Gaia gasped. Feilai didn't care about her surroundings at all. She just hugged Qin Zhao and cried. Suddenly, Feilai felt Qin Zhao move. Shocked, Feilai yelled in excitement, Qin! 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 You're not dead. You're not dead, right? Qin Zhao slowly opened his eyes. Grabbing Feilai's neck, he kissed her. How come you're here? You Shoal, why don't you die? Feilai slapped Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao touched his cheek. Ignoring the gunfire around him, he pulled Feilai and started kissing her. Feilai struggled to open Qin Zhao's eyes. Asshole, can't you see the situation? Qin Zhao didn't care too much. He hugged Feilai and kissed her deeply. Are you done? Feilai panted. Qin Zhao finally let go of Feilai and roared in the direction of the mansion, King Kong, come out. If you don't come out now, you'll never come out again. Seeing Qin Zhao stand up miraculously, Gaia's eyes were filled with surprise. Jin Gang came out of the villa. Although the water did not reach his calf, he was very scared. Abitos. Hearing Qin Zhao's cry, Abitos immediately landed beside him and started licking Qin Zhao's face. Send Feilai to the shore. You and King Kong will protect her. Qin Zhao placed Feilai on Abitos' back. Abitos successfully sent Feilai to the shore. Giselle stared at him in disbelief. Just how many legendary creatures did this guy raise? Fire Dragon, Hydra, Cerberus. There was also the incredible Treyant. These 3 could be said to be the most representative legendary creatures of the West. Now, she had seen all of them in one night. Asterisk 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 asterisk, the second round is starting. Qin Zhao looked at the fallen. Don't call me asterisk 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 asterisk. The fallen hated this nickname to the bone. Right now, Qin Zhao felt like he had endless power in his body. Kill him. The fallen ordered all the fallen. You want to compete in numbers. You make it sound like I'm scared. The gargoyles also made their move. The gargoyles that were flying in the sky kept teasing the fallen. The 2 sides fought in the sky above Mirror Lake. The gargoyles might not be strong, but their greatest characteristic was that they were almost impossible to kill. Just then, a figure as large as the fallen jumped out of the water. The gigantic figure opened its bloody mouth and swallowed a dozen or so degenerates in one gulp. Giselle was dumbfounded. What was that? What was that thing just now? Was that Qin Zhao's true power? Giselle remembered that West had once said that Qin Zhao was a druid. So, Qin Zhao's true power was to control these legendary creatures. Qin Zhao put away the internal core under his feet. At the same time, he summoned 2 clones. They hid in the water and put on a set of clothes. The 3 Qin Zhaos jumped in the water and charged toward the fallen. The tentacles hidden in the water moved immediately. Countless tentacles attacked Qin Zhao and the 2 clones. His original body and clone were bound by the tentacles at the same time, but his strength was much higher than before. The tentacles couldn't restrain them at all. Instead, they grabbed the tentacles and it became a tug-of-war in the water. The 2 clones grabbed the tentacles. The fallen felt something was wrong. It wanted to pull back but realized that it couldn't move. Qin Zhao's real body went straight toward the fallen. One of the fallen's tentacles slapped Qin Zhao's real body from the water. Qin Zhao was slapped into the air. But the next moment, Qin Zhao took out the internal core. He fell vertically from above. Boom! Under the acceleration of gravity, the internal core smashed heavily into the fallen's head. Qin Zhao lifted the internal core again. Just like that, he lifted the dozens of tons of internal core. You want to take revenge on me? Bang! Chen Zhao smashed it down, lifted it up, and smashed it down again. Giselle and Gaia were both dumbfounded by what they saw. The huge stone ball was used as a weapon by Chen Zhao just like that. He seemed to want to smash the fallen into meat paste. But after smashing it a few times, Chen Zhao felt that the internal core really wasn't useful. Because the inner core was simply too big, there was no grip point. He could only lift it. It was hard to use. Chen Zhao had an idea. The dark serum wrapped around the internal core. After it was wrapped, the black egg turned black. This way, it was much easier for Chen Zhao to control it. Chen Zhao connected one hand to the dark serum and then pulled the internal core. He used the internal core as a hammer bowl. Come on, come on. Didn't you say you wanted to take revenge on me? Come on. The source of the fallen had been completely smashed into a retard. Chen Zhao's attack was too brutal. I told you to do a striptease, but you're not willing, right? Bang! You felt good just now, didn't you? Bang! Do you know how much my family lost because of this? Bang! You bullied my woman while I was unconscious, right? Bang! I surrender my ass. I don't want to surrender. I want to make takoyaki. Chapter 764. The source of the fallen was really stubborn. Chen Zhao smashed it a dozen times, but it still wasn't dead. But even so, it didn't mean that the source of the fallen was unharmed. It wasn't like it was made of steel. It couldn't be smashed into the ground by a stone ball that weighed dozens of tons. Anyone would be beaten senseless. Giselle was dumbfounded. Since when was the once arrogant source of the fallen so weak? No, it wasn't that it was weak. That man was too terrifying. Chen Zhao's two clones also joined in the beatings. The three punched and kicked. They wouldn't stop until the source of the fallen was smashed into pieces. Come on, let's do a striptease. Come on, if possible, the source of the fallen really wanted to do a striptease for Chen Zhao. But Chen Zhao realized that he really couldn't beat it like this. The source of the fallen was too tough. After all, it was a freak that recovered quickly. Human, you can't kill me. Give up, the source of the fallen said. It knew that it couldn't beat Chen Zhao now, so it gave up resisting. But its recovery speed was shocking. A dead pig wasn't afraid of boiling water. Chen Zhao called Gaia to his side. Gaia, cut off his body parts. Do what? Gaia asked, confused. This thing recovers too fast. No matter how hard I hit it, it can still recover quickly. Then what do we do? My pet likes to eat him, Chen Zhao said. Feed my pet first. Chen Zhao's pets of various sizes all came. To them, the source of the fallen was just a giant roast lamb. No one was polite. They went up and tore at the source of the fallen in a few bites. Meanwhile, Gaia and Chen Zhao started cutting off the flesh of the source of the fallen and throwing it into the water for Amon to eat. They completely treated themselves as butchers. Giselle moved closer and looked at Chen Zhao and Gaia, who were covered in blood. Even though they weren't enemies, the water scared Giselle quite a bit. Giselle looked into the source of the fallen's eyes. Suddenly, a thought drilled into her mind. Chen Zhao seemed to feel it. He turned to Giselle. If you're controlled now, I'll cut you up and feed you to the dogs. Giselle shivered in fear and sobered up. Sometimes, fear is the best way to stay awake. Chen, we can't. This guy recovers too quickly. We can't kill him at all. Soon, the pets were full. Only Amon could continue eating, but the source of the fall had recovered. Call Eris. She has a magic book with a way to seal it. The rain did not stop, and the water was almost over the first layer. Alice finally arrived. Of course, she was accompanied by the other members of the association. However, they came by speedboat. At this time, the whole of Los Angeles had become a lake, and cars could not move at all. Giselle, why are you here? Where's the president? Giselle didn't dare to get close to the source of corruption. She pointed at Chen Zhao on the other side of Mirror Lake. Chen Zhao was still beating up the source of the fallen. Gaia was already exhausted and was brought back to the villa to rest. Fuck, what a fuck, could that be the source of the fall? That's him. Alice nodded. It can't be that you want us to join the battle, right? We can't handle it, West said. The president already defeated him, but he can't kill him, so he called Alice over and told her to seal the source of the fall. I'll go over there. Don't go over. I was almost controlled by the source of the fall. Giselle hurriedly pulled Alice back. Apart from the president and Gaia, it'll be hard for everyone else to avoid it. But if Alice doesn't go over, how can we seal the source of the fall? Let the president's pets deliver the message, Giselle said. She saw that Chen Zhao's pets were delivering messages for Chen Zhao and Fei Lai. Fei Lai only had to say a few words to a pet and the pet would deliver the message to Chen Zhao. These pets would also not be controlled by the source of the fall. Chen Zhao was exhausted too. After all, he'd fought for an entire night. The source of the fall was covered in wounds, but it would jump around again after a short rest. He had no choice but to continue. Chen Zhao used a few sharpened trees to nail the source of the fall to the ground. Eugenius also used vines to tie the source of the fall into a dumpling. But he couldn't continue like this. Chen Zhao would eventually get tired too. After being struck by lightning, Chen Zhao's stamina had greatly increased again. But there was still a limit. Just then, Abitos flew over. Ada, that human girl over there, said that she doesn't have enough power to seal the source of the fall. So there's no other way? Chen Zhao asked. If Alice couldn't do it, he could only release the source of the fall. But if he released the source of the fall this time, he really wouldn't have a chance to kill it again. Plus, he'd made such a huge enemy this time that the source of the fall might stab him in the back. She said that there's no way to seal it completely. What does that mean? I don't know. Go back and ask before coming back. A while later, Abitos returned. Ada, that human girl, said that there's a loophole in her seal. Just then, the source of the fall stopped. You've already beaten and scolded me. Why do you still want to seal me? The source of the fall exploded. It waved its tentacles again. Chen Zhao saw that the situation was bad. They were going to fight again. Chen Zhao suddenly thought of an idea. The source of the fall was an alien god. So there should be a core to make a foundation treasure in his body, right? If he took the core, who knew if the source of the fall could still be so arrogant? In for a penny, in for a pound. Chen Zhao took out the bronze sword, covered it with the dark serum, and stabbed it into the source of the fall. Ah! The dark serum seeped into the source of the fall. It felt extreme pain again. It wasn't a stranger to this pain. Last time, just a little bit of the dark serum had tortured it for 2 months. This time, it wasn't just a little bit. The source of the fall waved its tentacles wildly again. The people in the distance were shocked. Only Chen Zhao could fight against such a monster. If it were them, a single tentacle would probably be enough to send them flying. Large amounts of dark serum seeped into the source of the fall and started wreaking havoc inside. Chen Zhao hacked at the tentacles outside. However, the source of the fall was even harder to deal with when it went crazy. Chen Zhao grabbed the source of the fall and hammered it left and right. Chapter 765. No. No. The fallen source struggled with all its might. If he didn't fight for his life now, he would really die. He could feel Chen Zhao's dark serum seeping into the depths of his body, trying to take over the core. But the fallen source's struggle didn't stop Chen Zhao's goal. The moment the dark prime fluid came into contact with the core, it suddenly expanded. With a puff, the fallen source's orifices, mouth, nose, and eyes spewed out large amounts of dark serum. The fallen source lost all signs of life and stopped moving. Chen Zhao sat on the ground, exhausted. Everything was finally over. The sky was starting to brighten. Everyone looked in the direction of the light. That **** wasn't moving anymore. Chen Zhao also sat on the ground. Everyone was still in a state of shock. It was finally over. Giselle stared at Chen Zhao in disbelief. She didn't expect that the scariest person in the association wasn't Gaia, but Chen Zhao. After a while, Chen Zhao dragged his tired body back to the mansion. Everyone looked at Chen Zhao. "President, you're really too amazing. You're the one in my heart, shut up. I'm really tired now. Get out of here, all of you. I'm going to rest." Chen Zhao had a bad temper. Everyone knew that Chen Zhao always kept his word. Now that Chen Zhao had spoken, they all ran away. Chen Zhao only left Gaia behind to treat her injuries and arrange a guest room for her to rest. Chen Zhao pulled Fei Lai, who hadn't slept all night, into the bedroom. "Chen, I was scared to death last night." "I thought," as Fei Lai spoke, tears welled up in her eyes again. "I'm sorry for making you worry." Chen Zhao didn't want Fei Lai to know about the danger he'd faced in the past because he didn't want her to be sad. Chen Zhao was very tired. Fei Lai was also very tired. In his haze, Chen Zhao suddenly saw an image. A memory that shouldn't belong to him appeared in his mind. Chen Zhao was shocked. Where did this memory come from? Chen Zhao was very conscious now. Run. This memory gave Chen Zhao the feeling that he was running for his life. He'd escaped from the fog. He was surrounded by the vast ocean. Chen Zhao immediately realized that the extra memories he had were the memories of the fallen. It was clearly from before the fallen source was sealed. But he seemed to have escaped from somewhere. Was there something chasing after him? However, with the fallen source's strength, what could possibly kill him? One had to know that the fallen source's strength was not something that a cat or dog could compare to. For example, the three-headed dragon could probably be easily taken down by the fallen origin. But Chen Zhao could feel the fear of the fallen. He was still surrounded by the boundless ocean, and the source of the fallen had been drifting on the ocean for who knew how long. All of a sudden, a ship crashed into there. Then Chen Zhao opened his eyes, holding his head. At that moment, he really felt as if he was the source of the fall. What the hell? Could it be that I've been controlled by the source of depravity? At this moment, the sun was shining brightly outside the window. The black wind was long gone, and the heavy rain was no longer pouring down. When Chen Zhao went downstairs, he saw Fei Lai and Gaia chatting in the yard. The flood had subsided and the underlings were cleaning up inside and outside. Hearing his footsteps, Fei Lai called out in surprise, "Chen, you're awake. How many days did I sleep?" "It's 1 day longer than the last time, 75 hours. It seemed like he was really tired this time." "Gaia, how's your injury?" "I healed a long time ago." Gaia's body was also extraordinary. Chen, are you sure our kids won't get a stomachache after eating that monster? Fei Lai asked. In the past 2 days, she'd realized that the pets at home ate the corpses of the fallen source every meal. No matter what she prepared for them, it was useless. They clearly preferred the corpses of the fallen source. It's fine, Chen Zhao said. They just like it. Unfortunately, I won't have a chance to eat it in the future. Mirror Lake had calmed down, but some things brought by the storm and flood couldn't be cleaned up so quickly. For example, the nearby swimming pool was now filled with mud from the waterfall. Of course, with the hard-working underlings, Chen Zhao and Fei Lai didn't have to do anything themselves. Seeing that Chen Zhao was better, Gaia left after lunch. As soon as Gaia left, Chen Zhao started kissing Fei Lai. LA had a storm and a tsunami this time, but there weren't many deaths. A couple had died, and they'd gone to the beach on a stormy night. Just as Chen Zhao and Fei Lai were getting intimate, West called. President, I heard from Gaia that you're awake, West said. I was just sleeping, Chen Zhao said in annoyance. What do you mean I'm awake? Do you know how to talk? President, we've received all the funding for this year. Do you want to come and host it? How much? Chen Zhao's eyes brightened. $5 million. How much do I need to renovate my office? After kissing Fei Lai goodbye, Chen Zhao hurried to the headquarters. As soon as he left, his phone rang again, but he'd left his phone at home. Fei Lai picked it up. Hello. Hello, are you Mr. Zhao? Is this Mr. Chen? No, I'm his girlfriend. I left his phone at home. How can I help you? When he arrived at the headquarters, Chen Zhao subconsciously touched his body. He'd forgotten his phone. Whatever. He wouldn't lose his phone at home anyway. Plus, there wasn't anything shameful in his phone. Entering the conference room, everyone looked at Chen Zhao. The people who'd been chatting happily immediately shut up. Now, as long as Chen Zhao appeared in the conference room, no one dared to disturb the order in the room anymore. President, and these are the results of the past 6 months. You can read them yourself. Chen Zhao rolled his eyes at West. He'd only joined the association for less than 3 months. How could he read them? Why did the United States also put on such formalism? Enjoy them yourselves. Let's talk about how to use the funding first. President, our weapons research department needs more funding, Jolig said immediately. Jolig had always been the one who asked for money the most in the association. He was also the one who could get it the most. After all, he was in charge of researching everyone's weapons. Even Chen Zhao had to give him some face. As long as it doesn't exceed $200,000, Chen Zhao said. President, it's not enough. It'll be gone if we experiment on something. Nonsense. I don't need you to research atomic bombs. $200,000 is enough. President, how about you research a few powerful weapons? Next time we encounter monsters, you guys can fight them. I'll give you as much funding as you want. Jolig didn't say anything. Forget it. Chapter 766. Anyway, anyone could ask for funds as long as it didn't exceed $200,000. Chen Zhao would get anxious if it exceeded this limit. His office hadn't even been renovated yet. You want some funds, I want some funds. 5 million seemed like a lot, but it couldn't be split among the wolves and tigers. The supernatural organization didn't have many members, but there were many places where money was needed. For example, the construction of the training ground would cost hundreds of thousands. Chen Zhao and West had done an evaluation. They wanted to build a training ground for the members of the organization. The initial estimate was $800,000. They didn't have money before. Now that they had money, Chen Zhao wanted to build the training ground first. Of course, if they requested for weapons or equipment, Chen Zhao could approve it. When Chen Zhao returned home, he realized that Fei Lai had been holding his phone and spacing out on the sofa. Chen Zhao went up to hug her. Fei Lai, what are you thinking about? Fei Lai sat there in silence, not saying a word. Chen Zhao was confused. Fei Lai, what's wrong? After 5 minutes of silence, Fei Lai finally spoke. Chen, I just received a call from Santa Maria Hospital, Fei Lai said. San Francisco. Santa Maria Hospital. Chen Zhao was confused. Call them yourself. It's someone called Dr. John. Chen Zhao hesitated. San Francisco. Jerlin was the only person he knew. Did something happen to Jerlin? If it was Jerlin, it was no wonder that Fei Lai would be so jealous. Hello, I'm Zhao. Chen, are you Dr. John? Hello, I'm Dr. John. Are you Miss Jerlin's ex-boyfriend? Chen Zhao hesitated and answered, yes. Miss Jerlin gave birth to a baby girl in our hospital on August 15th. Chen Zhao was dumbfounded. His expression froze and he turned to look at Fei Lai in shock. Chen Zhao started calculating the time. He'd come to America on National Day last year. Then, he'd slept with Jerlin around October. He and Jerlin hadn't been in a relationship back then. In fact, he and Jerlin hadn't been in a relationship at all. So, they'd been more careful in that aspect. Jerlin had taken birth control pills. How did she have a child? Alright, although it sounded a little unpleasant to think about. But Chen Zhao couldn't help but wonder if the child was his. May I ask where Jerlin is? Miss Jerlin is dead. Dead? Chen Zhao was dumbfounded again. Dead? How did he die? She wouldn't die of dystocia in this era, right? Miss Jerlin was shot when she was giving birth. Although we tried to resuscitate her, due to her heavy injuries, we only managed to save the baby. Dr. John said, because Miss Jerlin only registered that you're the father of the child, and she also left your contact information, the hospital can only call you. Of course, you're not legally obligated to adopt this child. If you refuse to adopt this child, we'll send the child to an orphanage. Wait a moment. I'll go to San Francisco tomorrow. Can we talk face to face then? All right. After hanging up, Chen Zhao looked at Fei Lai. Fei Lai, I'm sorry. Fei Lai suddenly pounced on him. Chen, let's have a baby too. Aw. I want to have children with you too, Fei Lai said. He didn't know what a woman's mind was like. But now he couldn't even say that he didn't want to have a child so early. Actually, Chen Zhao hadn't planned on having a child so early. He wanted to be carefree for a few more years. But now, another woman had given birth to a child for him. What could he say? I'll go to San Francisco tomorrow, Chen Zhao said. Okay, bring her back, Fei Lai said. Early in the morning, Chen Zhao went straight to the airport. Chen Zhao's emotions were very complicated. Joy. Nervousness. Doubt. A woman sitting beside Chen Zhao saw that Chen Zhao was sweating profusely and in a daze. Sir, are you not feeling well? Huh? I'm fine. Chen Zhao came back to his senses. I'm fine. The woman looked at Chen Zhao's nervous expression. Is he a terrorist? Okay, the woman was thinking too much. The plane landed safely. Chen Zhao was nervous and hesitant, but he didn't do anything extreme on the plane. Sir, the exit is over there. The woman followed Chen Zhao and realized that he didn't know the way. Oh, thank you, the woman followed Chen Zhao. Seeing that Chen Zhao was still in a daze, she almost walked onto the road and got hit by a car. A moment later, the woman parked her car at the airport and saw that Qin Zhao was still waiting by the roadside. "Sir, where are you going? Do you need a ride? Is it convenient? As long as you don't need me to drive you to the suburbs. St. Mary Hospital. Okay, come up." The woman looked at the nervous Qin Zhao. "Are you sick?" "No, I just suddenly found out that I have a daughter," Qin Zhao answered. "Your wife?" "No, ex-girlfriend." "Okay." At the entrance of the hospital, Qin Zhao looked back at the woman in the car. "Thank you. May I know your name?" "Maria." "I'm Qin." "Oh, I also know someone called Maria, but you're not like her at all. Goodbye." Qin Zhao entered the hospital and found Dr. John. "Hello, Dr. John. Can I see my daughter?" "You need to do a blood type comparison first. If you're not the father, we can't give the child to you." America's protection of children had reached a very strict level. Anything that was related to children would become complicated. Of course, the blood type comparison came out very quickly. Dr. John held a blood test report. "Mr. Chen, after matching the blood types in a paternity test, we've confirmed that you're the biological father." Qin Zhao was dumbfounded. It really was his own child. He'd actually become a father. "Mr. Chen, do you want to adopt the child?" Of course, of course." Qin Zhao nodded. "Our hospital will help you get a certificate. We'll also help you contact an adoption agency. May I know what your job is?" "I'm a professor at UCLA." A good job would definitely make the adoption process smoother. "Okay." Dr. John nodded. Chapter 767. "Look, that's your child." Dr. John pointed at the child in the room. Generally speaking, children were placed next to the pregnant woman. Unless they were in poor health or had no parents to take care of them, they would only be placed here. "What number?" 13. "Is the child healthy?" Qin Zhao asked. "The child was born 3 weeks early, so he's weak, but he's much more stable now. There's a silver bracelet on his hand. Did Jerlin leave it behind?" Dr. John froze. "That's strange. We don't give jewelry to children in the room. Even if it's something left by parents, it's not allowed." "Can I hug my child?" Qin Zhao asked nervously. "Yes." Dr. John glanced at Qin Zhao. Some young parents had the same expression as Qin Zhao. "Sorry, you're not allowed to touch the child before the adoption process is completed." "Okay, how long will it take?" "If there are no accidents, it can be done in 1 or 2 days." "Okay, thank you." Just then, a woman in black professional attire walked over from the other side of the aisle. She walked with the wind and her gaze was as sharp as a dagger. "Dr. John, I'm taking my niece away now. I don't want to hear any excuses. I'm her only guardian." "Sorry, Miss Alex, you're not the first guardian now." "He is." John pointed at Qin Zhao. Qin Zhao froze for a moment and looked at Miss Alex in confusion. Before Jerlin was admitted, she recorded that the child's father is this Mr. Qin. After a paternity test, this Mr. Qin is the child's father. Alex stared at Qin Zhao aggressively. "I don't care if you're Jerlin's father or not. Name your price, as long as you give up custody." "Sorry, I don't plan on that." Qin Zhao turned his head, ignoring Alex. Why should someone else take care of his daughter? He didn't know before, but now that he knew, he had no reason to ignore it. Alex stared at Qin Zhao. "Kid, you know I'm a lawyer, right? You know I can send you to prison." "Kid, you know I'm a lawyer, right? You know I can send you to prison." Chen Zhao played the sentence on his phone. Smiling, he looked at Alex. Sorry, I have the habit of recording when I talk to strangers. Alex's expression darkened. This guy seemed harder to deal with than she had imagined. Mr. Chen, I'm sorry for what I said earlier. Alex's tone and attitude suddenly changed, and she softened. Jerlin and I were sisters, and my heart aches for Jerlin's death. This child is Jerlin's only hope in this world, and I hope to take care of her personally. I can provide her with the best living conditions and education. The best education for a child is to stay by their parents' side, Chen Zhao answered. Now that Jerlin is gone, I have the responsibility to take care of her. But you and Jerlin broke up a long time ago. You should have a new relationship now, right? If you have a child in your life, it should have a huge impact on your original life. Any family that has a child will change, but my girlfriend and I will try our best to adapt to this change. Seeing that she couldn't get through to Chen Zhao, Alex showed her true colors again. Jerlin's child will never be adopted by an outsider. I'm not an outsider. I'm her biological father. Apart from blood, you have no relationship with the child. Blood is already a very important relationship. You can't give the child a good life. I'm a university professor. I can also submit proof of my income and assets. I have the ability to provide the best life for the child, and I can also guarantee that she will receive the best care. Alex realized that Chen Zhao was harder to deal with than she had imagined. Chen Zhao's work gave him enough capital. She had to admit that if the adoption agency made the decision, she wouldn't have much of an advantage. Against Chen Zhao, the biological father, she wouldn't have enough of an advantage as an aunt. Between a lawyer and a university professor, the adoption agency would most likely decide that Chen Zhao was the biological father. The adoption agency would first decide if the child was related by blood. The parents would definitely be the top priority. After Jerlin passed away, the only people who could be related to the child were Chen Zhao, the father, and Alex, the aunt. If the child's biological father was a scoundrel or a gangster, Alex could manipulate things and even send the father to prison, then obtain custody in custody. But now, Chen Zhao's job was to be the best caregiver. Even if Alex was a billionaire, she couldn't compare to a university professor. You too, if you have any disputes, can you discuss it outside the hospital? This is the hospital, and there are 20 children in the isolation rooms. I won't give up. Alex left angrily. Chen Zhao shrugged. Dr. John, I hope that the adoption certificate can be done as soon as possible. It's best if it's done within 24 hours. If possible, I'm willing to donate $1 million to the adoption agency and the hospital. Chen Zhao could tell that Alex wasn't a kind person. He didn't want to drag things out. It was best to cut the Gordian knot and bring the child to him as soon as possible. Dr. John's eyes brightened. Okay, I'll go and supervise. Then I'll have to trouble you. Chen Zhao kept looking at the child through the glass window. At the moment, the child was sleeping peacefully. Her soft cheeks were a bit rosy. Chen Zhao's heart had never felt so peaceful before. It was as if just looking at her like this was more comfortable than anything else. Mr. Chen, I'll be leaving now. Okay, goodbye. Just as Dr. John was about to leave, a woman in a hospital gown rushed over and grabbed him. Dr. John, where's my child? Where's my child? Tell me, where did my child go? Tell me. Mrs. Rouse, I don't know either. The police are investigating now. Please wait patiently. You lost my child. Give it back to me. Give it back to me. The woman continued to wail and cry. Chen Zhao frowned. Would a child go missing in this hospital? Chen Zhao couldn't help but worry. He couldn't bring the child with him now. He was even more worried. Chapter 768. A group of police officers came to St. Mary's Hospital. It wasn't their first time here. In 2 months, there had been 3 cases of missing babies. This also caused chaos in St. Mary's Hospital. The 3 girls were stolen from the isolation rooms, right? Yes. Is there surveillance? Yes. Dr. John was an obstetrician. Although he wasn't a nurse, he had to cooperate with the police. A few police officers looked at the screen. Who's the Asian sitting outside the isolation room? He's from Los Angeles. He's the father of one of the children in the isolation room. Oh, the mother is Miss Gerlin, who was sent to the hospital half a month ago. She died from severe injuries. Oh. He's the father. The police officers were surprised. Let's not talk about this. Let's adjust the footage to the time before the babies disappeared. In the screen, a man in a cloak carried a child out of the isolation room. The caregivers and doctors along the way turned a blind eye to the person carrying the child. Is he from your hospital? No, I don't know him at all. Then why didn't the people along the way react and a stranger carried a child out of the isolation room? Dr. John's expression was also very ugly. He couldn't answer either. The people along the way didn't seem to see the man at all. It's the same person who carried the child out 3 times. He's dressed the same too. He's not a hospital employee, but the people around don't seem to see him at all. Captain, what do we do now? Apart from this video, there are no other clues. Issue a warrant. The captain shook his head. Oh, you guys go back to the station first. Chen Zhao was dozing off in front of the isolation room. Suddenly, a voice woke him up. Hey, buddy, how are you? Chen Zhao looked up and saw a mustached police officer. Hi, what's up? Chen Zhao asked. Are you Gerlin's ex-boyfriend? Yes. Are you here to see the child? The mustached officer asked. I'm here to take the child home, Chen Zhao said. But the adoption documents aren't done yet. Do you want to go out for a drink? Thank you, but I want to stay here, Chen Zhao said. I heard that there have been cases of missing babies in the hospital. I'm worried about my daughter. The mustache man sat beside Chen Zhao. Gerlin is my colleague Eli Ross, but we're not on the same team. What a pity. She's such an outstanding cop. Can you tell me how Gerlin died? Chen Zhao asked. He didn't know if he would still be with Fei Lai if he'd known that Gerlin was pregnant. Some things could never be verified, but the guilt he felt towards Gerlin was real. I'm not sure about the specifics, but I know that she was investigating a case that happened many years ago before her accident, and she seemed to have obtained crucial evidence. What case? Chen Zhao asked. North Beach shipwreck, Eli Ross said. This case is a man-made accident? Probably. Eli Ross said, I still have something to do. I'll leave first. Goodbye. Goodbye. After Eli Ross left, Chen Zhao took out his phone and typed in North Beach shipwreck. The accident had happened 8 years ago. At the time, a sightseeing boat had left the North Beach harbor, but 30 minutes after leaving, it suddenly sank into the water. At the time, there were 58 crew members and tourists on the boat. The rescue team arrived within 15 minutes. 28 people were killed in the accident, and 30 were rescued. Chen Zhao looked through a few similar news articles, but the content was similar. There was no more information. Chen Zhao was unfamiliar with San Francisco, so he didn't know where to start investigating. However, Chen Zhao's main concern now was to get custody of his daughter. As for helping Jerlin find out the truth behind her death and his unfulfilled wish, he could do that after this was over. Help me investigate someone. I want all the information on this person. It'd be best if you can find out if he has a criminal record, a history of drug abuse, or sexual orientation. Alex was very unwilling. From her point of view, the custody of the child should belong to her. She was the closest person to her child, not the man who'd only given her one sperm. Tell me the name of the person you want to investigate. Zhao is a professor at UCLA. Here's 10,000 as a deposit. If you can find any bad records, I'll pay you 50,000 more. Alex thought about it, but she still felt uneasy. She didn't want the child to be snatched away before she could do anything. She had to go to the hospital first. If the adoption agency's documents came, she could stop it in time. Chen Zhao had been sitting outside the isolation room for 10 hours. He stood up and glanced at his daughter in the room. His daughter had already woken up. Her mouth was wide open, and she was babbling. Just then, a nurse came over and opened the room to check every baby. Just then, the nurse came to Chen Zhao's side and picked her up. Chen Zhao saw that the nurse was about to carry the child out and immediately went to the door. "Madam, what's wrong with my daughter? Where are you taking her?" The nurse looked up at Chen Zhao. Suddenly, she spat out a mouthful of murky air at Chen Zhao's face. Chen Zhao waved his hand. "What are you doing?" Suddenly, Chen Zhao realized that the nurse's expression wasn't right. Her expression was very unnatural. "Are you okay?" The nurse looked at Chen Zhao in confusion. "Who are you?" Chen Zhao ordered. "Put my daughter down." The nurse turned and ran. Chen Zhao chased after her. "Stop her!" Chen Zhao yelled as he ran. "She stole my daughter." Worried about his daughter's safety, Chen Zhao didn't dare to attack. The nurse, on the other hand, didn't care so much. She ran as fast as she could. Her speed was clearly not that of a normal person. She ran very fast. The hospital security was notified and joined the chase. Seeing that there were people in front of her, the nurse suddenly jumped onto the wall. Defying gravity, she ran 4 or 5 steps on the wall and went around the security. Everyone was dumbfounded. Chen Zhao was probably the only one who was clear-headed. "Go away. Don't block the way." Chen Zhao charged past the security and pushed them away. The nurse carried the child and rushed into the stairs. Chen Zhao chased after her, but she didn't run down. Instead, she ran up. The security couldn't keep up with the nurse and Chen Zhao at all. They chased all the way to the rooftop. The nurse carried Chen Zhao's daughter and stood at the edge. Chapter 769. The security guards arrived a minute later. After climbing a few floors, these security guards were exhausted to the point of suffocation. Neither Chen Zhao's words nor the security guards' threats could make the nurse put down the baby. Alex drove to the hospital, but she realized that there were many people crowding downstairs. She couldn't drive in either. She could only get out of the car and look at the rooftop with the crowd. It seemed to be a woman holding a child and standing at the edge of the rooftop. At this moment, the female nurse was holding the baby girl in one hand, and the fingers of her other hand started to draw blood on her forehead. Salis, Kala, Yake, to others, it was hard to understand, but Chen Zhao understood it. "Great Satan, your people are praying to you and offering you the purest sacrifice." With that, the nurse suddenly threw Chen Zhao's daughter off the rooftop. Chen Zhao rushed over and pounced on his daughter, who was outside the rooftop. "Ah!" the security guards exclaimed. They didn't expect Chen Zhao to pounce on their daughter. They were on the 10th floor, 30 to 40 meters from the ground. Chen Zhao hurriedly put his daughter on his chest. At the same time, he used the dark serum to cushion his and his daughter's chests. Based on his physical strength, if he fell to the ground with his daughter in his arms, even if his daughter was protected by his chest, the impact would still hurt his daughter. However, the darkness original fluid was different. The darkness original fluid was very flexible. Chen Zhao couldn't guarantee that she wouldn't be hurt, but he could at least make sure that she wouldn't die. When Alex saw the baby girl being thrown down, she was also startled. But the next moment, she saw Chen Zhao rush down from the rooftop. Alex's eyes were filled with disbelief. Bang! Everyone saw Chen Zhao fall heavily onto the roof of the car with the baby in his arms. And this car happened to be Alex's car. What? The moment Chen Zhao's daughter landed on the roof, she burst into tears. Looking at the bloody Chen Zhao, Alex sat up from the roof of the car. Her eyes were still filled with disbelief and shock. Just then, many people rushed out of the hospital, including doctors. "Sir, give me the child. Both you and your daughter need treatment." "No, I don't trust any of you right now," Chen Zhao rejected directly. "Your nurse almost killed my daughter. Sir, you fell from the 10th floor. You need treatment now." "No, I don't need treatment." Chen Zhao's attitude was firm. Chen Zhao carried his daughter and started examining her. Fortunately, although they had experienced danger, his daughter was not injured. It was just that when he landed, he was startled. At this moment, the nurse also landed on the ground. However, she fell directly to the ground. Chen Zhao glanced at the nurse. She was in a daze. However, Chen Zhao was sure that she was a believer of some cult. The doctors and security guards didn't force Chen Zhao to hand over the baby. After all, Chen Zhao was the child's father. His actions just now were enough to prove that he was a good father. At least, he would risk his life to protect his child. A shy nurse came to Chen Zhao's side and helped him bandage the wound on his head. "Sir, I need to check your brain for a concussion. After all, you fell from such a high place." "I'm fine," Chen Zhao said. "We'll send the best security to protect your daughter." "I don't trust your hospital's security," Chen Zhao said. "Anyway, I won't let my daughter out of my sight. I'll carry her." Just then, Alex walked in. "Don't tell me you don't even trust me." Chen Zhao looked at Alex. After a moment of silence, he said, "You can carry her, but you also can't leave my sight." Alex was quite displeased with Chen Zhao's attitude. However, Chen Zhao's actions just now were indeed admirable. Of course, this didn't mean that she would give up her custody of Zhilin's daughter because of this. After the examination, the doctor realized that Chen Zhao really only had a skin wound. He had fallen from such a high place and landed on his back, but it was really just a skin wound. Of course, Alex's car had given him a huge cushion. If not for the car, even Chen Zhao would have been injured. However, to the doctor, he was lucky not to fall to his death. On the other hand, Chen Zhao only had minor injuries. It was a miracle. "Sir, you're so strong." The nurse touched Chen Zhao's chest. Her expression seemed to be a little moved. Usually, American girls were very direct when it came to expressing their feelings. Alex rolled her eyes. Chen Zhao didn't respond either. The police came and asked Chen Zhao a simple question. Then, Chen Zhao called Dr. John over. "Dr. John, I need to take the child away now." "Mr. Chen, your procedures haven't been completed yet." "Then I'll sue your hospital." Chen Zhao didn't plan on reasoning with Dr. John. His daughter had almost lost her life because of their mistakes. How could he reason with them? Chen Zhao didn't expect that his first contact with his daughter would be under such circumstances. "Dr. John, you better find another job now, because I'll sue this hospital until it goes bankrupt. Mr. Chen, can I report this to the director? I can't make the decision. I don't want to wait too long. I'll give you 20 minutes. Dr. John hurriedly ran away. Alex glanced at Qin Zhao. She was still hugging little Jerlin. You haven't gotten the adoption documents yet, so you don't have the right to sue yet. Give me the child. I haven't hugged my daughter enough. Alex looked at the child in her arms and finally gave it back to Qin Zhao. As soon as the girl returned to Qin Zhao's arms, she immediately started giggling. She tried to touch Qin Zhao's cheek with her soft hands. Why did you break up with Jerlin? Alex asked. We can't be considered boyfriend and girlfriend. She's just an accident. I didn't even know of her existence before this. If you think that she's an accident, I don't mind adopting her. No, Qin Zhao replied firmly. Since I already know who my daughter is, I won't let her stay with someone else all alone. Name your price. Qin Zhao glanced at Alex. You'll have a child in the future too. It's immoral to take a child away from her parents. Chapter 770. A while later, Dr. Johann returned. Mr. Chen, the director has agreed, but before the adoption certificate, please don't leave San Francisco. Okay, got it. Qin Zhao carried his daughter out of the hospital. Just then, Alex's car stopped before Qin Zhao. Where are you staying tonight? Didn't I smash your car just now? It's not a car. What's so strange about that? Alex said. If you don't have a place to stay, you can stay at my place tonight. No, Qin Zhao rejected. I plan on staying at a hotel. Get in. My place isn't a tiger's den. I'm just a stranger to you, right? How can I bring a stranger home without worry? You can save my Jerlin. I believe you're not a bad person. Qin Zhao sat in Alex's car. Who named Jerlin? Jerlin. No, I did. I think it suits her, Alex said. Qin Zhao considered whether to accept the name. Jerlin Qin. Her Chinese name would be Qin Jerlin. Or Qin Gu or Qin Lin. Qin Zhao caressed his daughter's cheek. Perhaps she was the continuation of Jerlin's life. Okay, I'll call her Jerlin from now on. Qin Zhao thought about it. Let's go to the supermarket and buy some milk powder and baby products. Yeah, I almost forgot. Alex's house was in a duplex apartment building. From the environment and location of this duplex apartment building, it could be seen that Alex's income was quite high. After putting down his luggage in the guest room, Qin Zhao took out his phone. West, bring all the people from the association to San Francisco tomorrow. President, why are we going to San Francisco? A public holiday, Qin Zhao said. Really? Of course. Just then, Alex knocked on the door. Only then did Qin Zhao realize that Alex was standing at the door. Thankfully, he didn't say anything over the phone. I made a bottle of milk powder for Jerlin. Thank you. Qin Zhao took the bottle and Alex asked, Oh, do you want something to eat? Anything. A moment later, Alex saw Qin Zhao carrying Jerlin into the dining room. You can put her down for now. I'm absolutely safe here. Maybe I'm too nervous, Qin Zhao said. Alex looked at Qin Zhao. She knew that if Qin Zhao wasn't there for the accident today, Jerlin might have died. Therefore, she acknowledged Qin Zhao as her father. Perhaps he was still acting inexperienced now, but at least he was willing to sacrifice for little Jerlin. What do you teach at UCLA? Chinese medicine. The next day, when Alex woke up, she found little Jerlin on the sofa. Just when she thought that Qin Zhao was being irresponsible, she realized that he was working out in the gym through the glass door. Alex laughed self-deprecatingly. This guy was probably a slave to his daughter. Even when it came to fitness, he had to keep an eye on his daughter. Where do you need to go today? I'll see you off. No. Chen Zhao shook his head. I have my own things to do. All right then. Alex looked back at Jerlin. I won't give up on Jerlin. Chen Zhao glanced at Alex. I won't either. Chen Zhao put down the barbell in his hand. Are the things in your gym all this light? She rolled her eyes at Chen Zhao. This was for her own use. Of course, there wouldn't be any male equipment. My house's password is 544,211. If you want to come back, you can come in yourself. Chen Zhao shrugged. Then Alex went to work. How's the Asian I asked you to investigate? Chen Zhao, China. He has a green card and is a professor at UCLA. He's also an illegal doctor. Ha! He's an illegal doctor. That's right. Alex hesitated. Should she use this point as a point of attack? Do you have direct evidence? No. His customers are all rich. My people can't even come into contact with rich people, let alone get them to testify. Does he have any other bad records? No criminal record, but he killed someone in self-defense and went to the police. Are there any loopholes? No. His killing process was recorded by surveillance cameras. Also, the person he killed was an internationally wanted criminal with a very bad crime, so it was perfectly justifiable for him to kill someone. Alex was a bit disappointed but also glad. She didn't have a bad impression of Chen Zhao. If she used murder as an attack point, she might destroy him. How's his work attitude? How's his reputation at UCLA? He's very influential in UCLA and has a very good personal relationship with the principal of UCLA. What about his family? And his private life? The place where he lives is quite remote. It's his private territory, but my people went to the town where he lives to inquire. It said that he's very rich and has a very luxurious villa. At the same time, he seems to have a lot of pets. Do you have a pet? Alex thought to herself that people who kept pets were generally gentler in nature. This was how Americans thought. Those who had pets were all good people. What about his relationships? I can't find out, but according to the townspeople, the road to his house often has luxurious cars. Is there any other information? His girlfriend is a member of the coastal rescue team. Her name is Faylai Jones. She has no bad records. He's like a blank piece of paper, Alex said, somewhat annoyed. What a headache. If she only used illegal medical practice as an attack point, it wouldn't be enough. She would at least need a witness or evidence, but that would be the most difficult. How did he meet my sister? When he first came to America, he met your sister, Jerlin. At the time, they met because of a fugitive, and since then, they have been in a relationship. The police in the previous police station where your sister and this Chinese man were previously in knew about their relationship, and the people in that police station also knew this Chinese man. How did they break up? Later, your sister came to San Francisco and they broke up because of that. Between your sister leaving L.A. and the accident, they only talked 4 times. They probably broke up because of the distance. Does he have any mental illness or something like that? You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.